So fuck President Barack Obama, fuck his office, fuck his Cheshire cat grin, fuck his promise, fuck all the politicians, fuck Congress, fuck every senator that ever turned his back on us, fuck Dianne Feinstein and fuck Max Baucus, fuck Harry Reid, the Senate leader's cockless, but I fucking loved when the stenographer started talking. I wish that bitch would run for office, for real. Fuck Jay-Z, fuck Yeezus, this arrogant motherfucker actually thinks that he's Jesus. Fuck Rockefeller, both the man and the label, fuck the deal that they made to put some gold on their table, and fuck Rain Man, your inspiration is fake, so you nothing but the puppet for the devil to take, yo. And fuck Catholics, you gonna murder them, ho? Fuck your bad back mask, whack Lucifer flow, and fuck the Luciferian imagery that you show. Fuck your money and the scars on your soul. Fuck Kesha, fuck Katy Perry, fuck the dark horse that she rode. I see the owl on your album cover, Drake, we know. Fuck Moloch, fuck Bohemian Grove, fuck your blood sacrifice rituals, fuck cults, fuck the Bushes and the Clintons, fuck Hillary Most, fuck Don Rahm Emanuel, and fuck George Soros, fuck GMOs, man, fuck Monsanto, fuck the chemtrails and the poisonous airflow, fuck eating food the transhumanists grow, and well, fuck you if you don't know, so fuck harping, fuck weather warfare, fuck a 5-vortex tornado that Joplin had there, fuck Sandy Hook, fuck the lies, fuck all the crisis actors acting at the Boston finish line, fuck martial law, fuck checkpoint shit, fuck illegal suspension of posse comitatus. I guess fuck everything that our founders taught us. Fuck throwing guns in the garbage. Fuck your roundups, fuck your amendments to the Second Amendment. Fuck NDAA and your government prison. Fuck the Federal Reserve and the money they printing. Fuck the monetary slave system, check it. Fuck the FBI, Federal Bureau of Lies. Fuck the NSA and fuck their spies. Fuck the Pentagon, fuck the CIA from behind. Fuck everything that's ever been classified. Yo, fuck the IRS, fuck Lois Lerner. Fuck Holder and the guns, he's running over the border. Fuck drones, fuck torture, fuck waterboarding. Fuck the American Homeland Security disorder. Fuck FEMA camps and the FEMA region governors. Fuck the guillotines they have in storage for us. Fuck BP and their oil exploding. Fuck 9/11 and the stories they told us. Fuck Building 7 imploding. Fuck the militarization of all our police forces. Fuck warrantless door-to-door searches. Fuck the system and fuck how they hurt us. It's like we talking but they never heard us. Fuck the New World Order. Fuck the petrodollar, fuck the UN, fuck NATO, fuck all of it. Fuck the Trilateral Commission larcenists. Fuck blaming Al-Qaeda when the West started them. Fuck false flags, fuck all for talking. What the fuck ever happened to talking? Fuck flossing, fuck the superiority complex that we lost in. Fuck Miley Cyrus, fuck abortion. Fuck FISA courts and fuck they closed doors. And fuck the justice system, fuck lawyers. Fuck Bank of America, fuck JP Morgan. Fuck Blackwater and they wannabe soldiers. Fuck Black Ops, DARPA and all of they programs. Fuck Dick Cheney and fuck Rumsfeld too, man. Fuck Chertoff, the TSA scanners and groping. Fuck the police state growing here in the homeland. Fuck biochemical experimentation. In other words, fuck vaccination. Fuck color of law, fuck implied consent. Fuck wherever the Haitian earthquake money went. Fuck the EPA, fuck Fukushima. Maybe Edgar Casey was right, I guess we'll see, huh? Fuck John Corzine, fuck Wall Street. Fuck CNN, Fox, fuck MSNBC. I guess fuck Ambassador Stevens and fuck his embassy. And fuck the Muslim Brotherhood beheading all their enemies. Fuck the American regime change policy. Pardon me, I mean fuck our gift of democracy. Fuck order out of chaos. Fuck the Freemasonry. Fuck Skull and Bones. Fuck your secret society. Fuck 322 and your 33rd degree wizardry. Fuck you for destroying what my ancestors gave to me. Fuck a short beat. Keep listening. Fuck hormones in the beef, pork, and chicken. Fuck DNA manipulation. Fuck leaving trillions in debt to our children. Fuck putting fluoride in the water we drinking. Fuck the millions of homeless left freezing. Fuck any other option but to feed them. Fuck the VA hospital budget restrictions. Fuck homeowner association evictions. Fuck state and federal for-profit prisons. Fuck the Hollywood Bin Laden mission. Fuck Madoff and his fucking investments. Fuck fucking children off ads on the Craigslist. Fuck credit cards and fuck they interest. Fuck more challenge disease symptoms. Fuck the Saudi Arabians for how they treat women. Fuck the sheiks and fuck their kingdom. Fuck the deal Henry Kissinger give them. Fuck Henry Kissinger and fuck his wisdom. Fuck Zygmunt Brzezinski's strategic vision. Fuck one world religion. Fuck Zionistic globalism. Fuck the Illuminati. Fuck their symbolism. Fuck their pop culture mass hypnotism. Fuck Lil Wayne and fuck Cash Money. Fuck every single insurance company. Fuck marketing. Fuck poverty. Fuck the erosion of our national sovereignty. Fuck humanity's unnatural apathy. Fuck Abercrombie. Fuck Berkshire Hathaway. And fuck you if you're mad at me. Yup. fuck implantable RFID chips, fuck human trafficking, fuck sweatshop management, fuck Foxconn, fuck their suicide nets, and fuck Apple for their silent compliance in it. Fuck the suppression of human history. Fuck the glaringly obvious contradictory imagery. Fuck NASA and fuck their secrecy. Fuck Pfizer, fuck Merck, fuck patent supremacy. Fuck the exclusion of natural remedies. And the same goes for Tesla's technologies. Fuck the abuse in adolescent psychology. Fuck Ritalin, fuck Adderall, fuck amphetamines. Fuck the overprescribing in all of psychiatry. Fuck the pedophilic archdiocese. Fuck symptoms of acquired immune deficiency. Fuck cancer and fuck HIV. Fuck me. Fuck the assassination of JFK. Fuck anybody that ever got in the way. Fuck Richard M. Nixon and fuck his Watergate. Fuck all the Bilderbergers and fuck the G8. Fuck Christine Lagarde. Fuck her monetary funding. Fuck never standing for something. Fuck abandoning your brethren. Fuck Bel Air. Fuck the Hamptons. Fuck what happened to Breitbart and fuck accidents happen. Fuck burning Chris Dorner alive in the cabin. Fuck the Albuquerque police murdering people for camping. And fuck the Albuquerque police captain for backing him. And fuck his retraction. Fuck words men speak with their actions. Fuck the corporations illegally persons. Fuck feeling totally worthless. Fuck planned obsolescence and everything that you purchase. Fuck empty wallets and fuck empty purses. Fuck no jobs in the city for workers. Fuck the local political circus, it's not working. Fuck Halliburton. Fuck preferential government contract distribution. Fuck ethical confusion. Fuck that, they know what they're doing. Fuck class, it's cool to be stupid. Fuck the Common Core curriculum movement. Fuck budget cuts to art and music. Fuck not knowing words and how to use them. Fuck passively ignorant students. Fuck parents too busy to tutor them. Fuck the collapse of the family unit. Fuck the Aurora, Colorado shooting. Fuck the global warming myth. Fuck the inconvenient truth surrounding it. Fuck the companies that position themselves to make money off of it. Fuck carbon offsets for profit. Fuck Al Gore's obnoxiousness. Fuck the Matrix and fuck being lost in it. Fuck heroin and fuck Oxycontin. Fuck Dennis Rodman and fuck Michelle Bachmann. Fuck Google Glass for always watching. Fuck scheming and plotting. Fuck dying old alone and forgotten. Bones growing mold in the coffin. Fuck being too hard to soften. Fuck being too cold to blossom. Fuck the Californication of Austin. And fuck the death of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Fuck what they did to Michael Jackson. Fuck predatory Scientology brainwashing. Fuck still being over in Afghanistan. And fuck the UN Agenda 21 plan. Fuck not learning from our mistakes when we make them. Fuck kicking the same damn can down the road again. Fuck being cattle. Fuck our controllers. Fuck letting these motherfuckers control us. Fuck dying young, but fuck getting older. But there's a lot to love. But there's a lot to love. There's a lot to love. I love the innocence in a newborn's laugh. Love the thought of being a newborn's dad. Love every baseball game I ever had. Love the gravel and the grass. Love the strawberry shafts that my grandmother had. I love the old cowboy hat on my gramps. I love hearing him when I was at bat. I love the wrinkles on the back of his hand. And I love that I was there on the day that he passed. I love the freedom in women when women dance. I live optimistic romance. The magic it captures when you live in the moment. I love thanking the soldiers, welcoming them home again. I love the smell in the air when the rainstorm coming. Love playing with my sister and her easy bake oven. I love shrinky dinks. I love to color them. I love the tender touch of my mother's skin. I love that she stayed when my dad was a runner. Love having a younger brother. Love building forts out of leaves, out of lumber. Love learning how to be men together. Love the bond that we built forever. Love playing the games on the Sega, but we were Super Mario Brothers when we got the Nintendo. I love to think that we are still. I love Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. I love the way the pages made my eyes so open. I love the kindness of strangers when their hearts open. I love never stopping hoping. I love the thought of where we go when it's over. I love honoring another's culture. I love sponsoring the notion that there's honor in culture. I love to make fun of Van Coulter. I love lemongrass soup when the weather gets colder. I love the view of the lake from my porches. I love being okay that I don't drive Porsches. And I love that my baby also knows what's important. See, it's important that I love and support her. And I love that we fell in love when we were poor as a pauper. I mean, we couldn't be broken, no joke, but I love that it never broke her. I love that we still grow closer, and I thank God every day for the opportunity He made for me to know her. I love music. I love the symphony that plays in your brain when you listen to it. I love the effect that it has on a human. I love that it heals us better than drugs do. Love the rhythm a heartbeat beats to. Love being an audience verses that Jeff Tweedy sings to. And I love Jack White without the racking tours. I'd love to see Garth Brooks go back on tour. He's been a friend when I've been in low places before. I love the thunder rolls, but I love the river more. I love the architecture of the Hollywood Biltmore. I love buildings that were built back when we built more. I love waking up each day to find out what I'm still here for. Love the comedy and tragedy. And I love when I pointed out that everybody gets mad at me, like I love Wilford Brimley before diabetes. But I hope his infomercials help him pay for his surgeries. I love getting harassed by the Target security. I love that my jacket make them follow me. I love hearing my description on their walkie-talkies. I love letting them search me while I manage your watches. I love hearing them say, pardon me, please accept my apology. I love the vulnerability and humanity, honestly. I love using my TV to argue with Sean Hannity. I love fantasizing about back smacking them hard-handedly. I love the blessing of the food in my pantry. I love finding a begging veteran and handing him 20. I love that he was really ready to go die for my country. I love the feeling inside when he cried and he hugged me. I love that there were angels among me, and I love that they love me. I love their conversations, I love their company, and especially I love it when they come say what's up to me. I love Archangel Michael, and I love what he's done for me. I love doing theater in college. I love the energy created in a building of knowledge. I love the lessons in the building of knowledge. I love that you can live forever but never know all of it. I love halibut, I love smoked salmon fish. I love that people emphasize the L when they sounding it. I love hide and go seek, and I love when I found it. I love the Los Angeles Police Department had me surrounded. I love paying my bail with 10% of the promise to appear before the judge and be honest. Let's be honest, I forgot all about it. I love that I prioritize that shit way down at the bottom. I love smoking marijuana in autumn. I love Paramahansa Yogananda. I love to believe we get to do this again. I love the Akashic records, I love to read them. I love multidimensional theoretical theorems. I love redundancy, I love redundancy. I love Los Angeles, but I don't love what she done to me. I love that I left and I don't have a day of regret. It wasn't meant to be, but I love the memories, yep. And I love my enemies don't have my new Chicago address yet. I love the First Amendment, I love the Second, I love the Third, Fourth, Fifth, I love the Seventh, I love the 6th, 8th, 9th, I love the 10th. I worship at the Church of the Constitutional 10 Commandments. I love the rest of them too, but they wasn't as dramatic. I love Minneapolis, I love it, gotta have it. I love Chicago too, but it's second on my love list. I'll forget this, I love all the Midwest. I love the tobacco smell when the spliff lit. I love the music that Second City Audio Machine did. I love nachos and cheese dip. I love knocking back a few double bottles of the Cheese Whiz. I love that it's been 11 years since my last sip. I love that my sobriety's lasted. I love that my old friends think I'm less of a bastard. Now that I put down the jack and put down the captain, I love laughing. Love that I was sober at my little sister's wedding. Love that the details aren't hard for me to remember. Love the way the wind blew in from the harbor. I love that me and my brother proudly walked her right up to the altar. I can't recall having ever felt such a swelling of honor, like the building of a chorus on the grandest piano. And I love that I felt sad for her father. I love that he didn't come even though we invited him and we tried to surprise her. I love David Copperfield, I love magic, I love the mystery and the supernatural. I love the first bite of a crisp red apple. I love Gatorade, I love Snapple. I love when the test results say that it's not cancer. I love the first breath of the air right after. I love to often question the answer. I love my elementary pastor, he was responsible for me leaving the church faster. I love rocks and crystals, I love Glock pistols. I love knock-knock jokes, I love riddles. I love my wizard staff that I whittled. I love the first light of sunrise when it crawls in my window. I love going back to the dream world. I love leaving my body behind on a pillow and flying over the top of a forest of willows. I'm a master at astral projecting. Love its potential. I love exploring the metaphysical. I love the theories composing its principles. I love the subconscious and I love the subliminal. I love the Bible and I love that it's biblical. I love to get analytical on whether it's literal or is this message is more metaphorically poetical. I love atheists, I love that they're critically cynical. I love the right to think that what each other's thinking is pitiful. And I love to dance when nobody is watching. I love when my fiance dance, I love to watch it. I love the soft skin on the side of her stomach. I love the lover and I love being lovers. I love pancakes smothered in butter. I love the last day of school and I love the first day of summer. I love that there is so much more for all of us to discover. But the most important thing to love is to love one another for real.
tried to talk to people about NASA? Huh. Like banging your head on a brick wall, right? Well, this song is all about that. Sometimes it's best just to keep your mouth shut, right? And don't talk about NASA at all. Listen up. When I started talking about NASA, I lost all my friends. So I don't want to talk about NASA ever again. My friends don't understand me, and I wish they would. I tried to tell them about NASA, but it don't do no good. No, I don't want to talk about NASA ever again. 'Cause every time I talk about NASA, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about NASA comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about NASA again. Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can tell people about NASA, but you can't make them think. Well, they look at me, they roll their eyes, they shake their head, 'cause they believe the papers and the TV instead. No, I don't want to talk about NASA ever again. 'Cause every time I talk about NASA, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about NASA comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about NASA again. See, I just want my friends to know all of NASA's lies. I hope one day my friends wake up and they realize. But I feel like I'm banging my head on a wall every single time. If I just got me a bunch of new friends, then I'll be doing fine. No, I don't want to talk about NASA.
Oh, that's kind of like how the UN was doing. Remember the food drives and everything in Africa? Remember during the 80s? And people were doing drives and they were doing concerts and We Are the World and all that stuff and all that food that was being brought down to Africa. The same thing was happening. And the UN, when they brought those trucks full of food, they were giving it to the armed, heavy strongmen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What I mean to, but see, that's the thing. It's like when you do an organized thing like that, that's fine and everything. But I'm talking about one individual saying, you know, when you see somebody, and I'm not talking about the professional beggars. That's not what I'm talking about, folks. We all see those. But I'm talking about paying attention, being mindful of your surrounds, everything in your surroundings. Like if you have a neighbor, start with your neighbors first. Act local, you know, think globally, but act locally. You know, start with your neighbor. And if you can make their life just a little bit better, just that little thing, you know, okay, the lady down the street, she needs an oil change. She doesn't know how to do it. She doesn't have the tools. Help her out. Yep. Is there anything? I mean,
neighbor lady time that blew a flexible brake line on her car.
Oh wow!
Way of fixing it. So I jacked up her car and replaced the brake line, bled the brakes out, and got her back on the road.
That is awesome. See, just
$5 or something like that, but it was cheap for me to do, and I knew how to do it, so I fixed it for her.
See, there it is. Listen, we're at the end of the show, and I want to thank everybody for letting me jaw jack in your ear. And thank you for letting me share your time here. And I really do appreciate all of you, and I thank you. I love you all. Brooks, thank you very much for a great discussion today. I appreciate you too. And we'll see you guys Wednesday.
Hey, stay tuned to TFRlive.com. Your protection.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like The Christopher Everard Show, The Covert Report with Susan Lindauer, Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barnes, Freaky Friday with The Woo Crew, The Gematria Effect with Zachary Hubbard, America's Evil Genius with Travis Cook, Phoenix Rising Radio with Phoenix, Quantum Connections with Lucky, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117 or call into your favorite show toll free at 833-TFR-LIVE. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
North Korea visit, Supreme Court search. I'm Jan Johnson. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will leave right after the 4th of July for North Korea. But the White House is not addressing reports of U.S. intelligence that Kim Jong-un may be doing anything but keeping his promise to dismantle his nuclear arsenal. Correspondent Bob Costantini has word of independent analysis that backs up those concerns.
To the untrained eye, the most noticeable thing in the before and after photos is bright blue roofs on some of the buildings, indicating North Korea has done rehab work at its missile parts-making site. Images from Planet Labs and analyzed by Middlebury Institute for International Studies, according to the experts, also show continuing construction at the facility in Hamhung.
No names yet, but President Trump says he's talking to prospects to fill the coming vacancy on the Supreme Court.
I interviewed and met with 4 potential justices of our great Supreme Court. They are outstanding people. They are really incredible people. In so many different ways, academically and every other way.
The president's spokesperson, Sarah Sanders, says he's looking for someone with the right temperament, but he's not asking candidates about their abortion views. Federal authorities in Cleveland say they've arrested an American who planned to support al-Qaeda by bombing a parade and fireworks displays on July 4th.
But he also wanted to strike at the values that are at the very core of our nation. He wanted us to be afraid to speak our minds. He also wanted us to be afraid to gather together in public places. U.S.
Attorney Justin Herdman says the suspect, Demetrius Pitts, used an Arabic name on Facebook. He's been charged with providing material support to terrorists. The Thai Navy is showing video of 12 boys and their soccer coach trapped deep inside a flooded cave, but still alive after 9 days. Rescuers are trying to figure out how to free them. I'm Jan Johnson.
Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
Astronauts to the moon.
Ten, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not to get off track here, but I feel like we're in the Truman Show, and we're in a snow globe, and we just shook it up.
Welcome to reality.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages. You are tuned into your protection from deception right here at truthfrequencyradio.com, and you can take it to the bank that you are tuned in to the #1 show on TFR on Monday nights between the hours of 6 and 9 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 to midnight Eastern. That show is Jeranism Monday Night Raw, and it starts now. I'm your host, Jeran from Jeranism, and with me, to my right, I'm getting that right. I'm not going to leave it left. Is the one, the only, the unspeakable glory that is Missa Amazing. Missa, how are we?
Unspeakable, meaning like you're not allowed to
to
talk about it?
I wouldn't.
Or like people can't because it's just so glorified or glorification.
It's kind of like, when you hear about people who talk with tongues, like it just comes over them and then it's blah, 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 blah,
yes.
It's kind of like that they go to say something about you and it's blah, 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 like
and they get muted.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. So
because there's no words? Okay, I get it now.
There is no words.
There are no words?
Only inaudible sounds.
Is it is or are?
There are no words.
Okay, good.
But there is no words as well.
Okay.
It's either one. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are happy that you are by our side. Did you tell us how you were?
I don't like it when you ask me how I am.
Okay, what would you like me to say?
Well, I just don't like what I'm supposed to say. Good or great.
How was your week?
My week was very hot, and I felt like my energy was on the little bit of the low side because it was so hot.
Was Venus in your moon
Eighth house of communications?
Show you how much I know. Was Venus in your moon house?
It would be like something like 8th house of energy or communications or something. But anyways, but no, actually, that's not true. But maybe it is true. Something like that was going on. I don't know. I know that today's horoscope was something like the energy is going to be slower. But maybe that's why I felt. But that was after the week was over. So I don't know. It was just a very slow week for me.
Oh.
But it was good, though. We didn't know. There was one thing that was exciting. We wrote a parody song.
That's true. We're going to play it here in a second.
Are we going to play it on the show? Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah, I think we should just play it for... we did write a parody song this week, as we sometimes do on our Friday nights when everybody else is out drinking their lives away at the local bar and grill. Mm-hmm. We are home wasting our lives away writing lyrics to songs that we like or songs that we've heard that we said, that'd be funny if we wrote this song or that song.
Right.
So we're sitting around Friday night and came up with the idea to...
No, you.
I came up with it. I guess
you came and woke me up again, as you oft do.
With my conspiracy nonsense and said, how about this one for Havana, which I think we thought about it before and said, there's nothing that'll work with that.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and play that real quick for you.
Okay. And if you're listening, put your headphones on or something. I know it sounds like mind control-ish, but for some reason it sounds better when you have your... But I guess if you're playing it...
That is true, yes.
I don't know. But put headphones on, it sounds better. Because if you don't listen to it with headphones, then it sounds like just my voice only. And that's kind of bad. You want to have everything together.
Yeah, you really want to watch this on my channel. It's only got like 3,000 views or something.
It's pretty funny.
Here it goes. So this is a remix to the original Havana sung by Camila Cabello. Camila Cabello. Hey!
Santa or NASA? Should I believe there is a Santa or NASA? No. One brought me gifts while the other brought nada. I guess my trust should be in Santa, not space travel enchanters. In Santa or NASA. Didn't walk and he went down the chimney.
And one went to the moon.
One brought gifts that I could play with.
The other just said
they launch satellites high in orbit.
They actually launch both.
But one of them says I have to trust him. It's got me feeling like I grew up to forget him, the other to protect him. Indoctrinated in school, and so I have to tell him it's time to go. Oh, na 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 na. In Santa or NASA? Should I believe there is a Santa or NASA? One bears us gifts while the other bears nada. Stole no money from me, did Santa? Can't say the same for NASA. In Santa or NASA?
I just wanna tell you that we're on to the fake shit you do. Pissed off, bad mood, bad CGI the only thing we get from you? We know that you are fake in space to the whole human race and that you are a disgrace. Well, I'm so tired, you conspired, you got me inspired to bring an end to what you do. Hey, Santa ain't so bad, he lasts a day. NASA been pretending for over 6 decades. All they do is with a movie crew, Mars rovers, moon landings, and Pluto too. You better watch out, NASA, you better not try to fake space anymore, and I'm telling you why. Cause Jeranism will bring you down, will bring you down, will bring you clowns down.
Santa or NASA? Should I believe there is a Santa or NASA? One brings the world joy and the other brings nada. That's why I'm better off with Santa. He's realer than that NASA. In Santa or NASA.
Hey, NASA, gonna give us that money back? What's up?
Take it back, 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 back.
NASA, serious, hand it over. Your time's done.
Take it back, 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 back.
NASA, I'm not joking. Give me that money.
Take it back, 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 back.
We didn't give you money so you could fake space.
Take it back, 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 back.
Different galaxies.
Get it back, 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 back.
The never-ending universe.
Take it back, 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 back.
This is the planet of Pluto, you see.
Take it back, back, back,
The
back.
rings is Saturn.
Santa or NASA? Should I believe there is a Santa or NASA? I'll take my chances with fake Santa, not NASA. That's why I'm better off with Santa. He's realer than that NASA. In Santa or NASA.
Give us that money back, NASA.
Take it back, 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 back. Take it back, 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 back. Take it back, 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 back. In Santa or NASA.
Yay! That was very good. I enjoyed it, at least.
We did it a lot quicker than we've ever done any other parody.
Like a day, start to finish.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the funny parts are the like tribal dancing Santas throughout.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
And then we're just joking about space in the background, like saying, that, the never-ending universe. Because that's a scientific belief. In case people didn't realize that space goes on
forever. Nice. And
Yes.
it's funny because they make fun of religion for thinking that infinity exists and God's up in infinity, but they believe the universe is infinite. So I don't understand.
And that it came from
Why do
nothing. It's just such a joke that it came from a mind of a god, but it makes more sense that it came from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
From nothing at all.
Because we see a lot of that in the world around us,
I see a lot of things just pop into existence all
Yeah,
the time.
all the time.
Especially all the matter that is everywhere and
Mhm,
everything
mhm.
just pops into,
It's usually from absolutely nothing. So
yeah.
it makes sense.
Crazy! I've gone space crazy! Oh my God!
Yeah, people are going space
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely.
They're out of their minds. So thank you guys for joining us. We wanted to say hello to everyone in the chat. We forgot to say that at the beginning. We also forgot to.
Is there anybody in the chat? I can't even see what's going on. over there.
My screen is not at that point yet. I do think one person said hello
Oh, did
when I
they?
got to the chat room earlier. They said I was their favorite radio show host, and then I told them to not tell lies.
Oh.
And then they said it wasn't a lie. So that's really nice if that was true. But
I'm gonna
I
go with
can't really
Santa.
say.
I'm gonna pick Santa.
You're going to pick Santa rather than NASA?
I'm better off with Santa.
Yes.
If I were to choose one or the other, there's more proof of Santa than there is of
Clearly.
what NASA
And that's what
does.
the song
That's
basically
what
explains,
yeah.
right?
I mean, we
one brings you gifts, and the other has never given me anything.
Yeah.
But a headache.
One of our close friends, I guess you could say, called you and said that it sucked because he didn't know where it was going.
Yeah, well,
song.
I don't consider him a close friend anymore. So I don't know who you're talking about. Let's go to the phones real quick. We have a call. It's been waiting since the beginning of the show. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from?
Hey, this is Steve in Oklahoma, Jeran.
Hey, what's up? And what's your pick, Santa or NASA?
Santa, of course.
Okay, good. Just make sure.
I have kids that still believe in Santa.
What's up? Did we lose you?
Oh no. I think it sounded like we dropped it.
I'll put you on hold for 1 second, see if you come back. Let's go to another caller. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. It is Monday. It's a manic Monday. Who's this? Where are you from? All right, calls are going well so far. Make sure,
Is it working? Make sure it's working.
Making
I
sure
guess.
nothing's off. I'm still on a call. Yes, that's all working fine. Let's put him on hold. And you're on hold.
Okay.
And Very weird here. I guess we're supposed to just continue on, right?
All right. Well, interestingly enough.
Sorry, I was just checking something here.
I know.
It says I'm on a call.
Well, people don't want to hear you looking at your phone call thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I.
People want to hear you go. Well, huh.
I was trying to think of something.
Let's see.
That happened this week or something.
You're back. You hear us? You on? You there?
Oklahoma, or is that the other one?
Oklahoma, are you there? How about? Oops, they're all just dropping. Oklahoma, are you there?
You must have something turned off. All right, dead air.
Don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. I'm going to check in. Can you hear me? Make sure, because we lost all the phone calls all at once.
Wow, that's weird. I have an update on my personal life, or I guess my family life. So my sister's getting married.
Update.
Yeah.
I like it.
My sister, who is she's... All right, already.
Oh, sorry.
You're doing something. You shouldn't be listening anyway.
I always say I had time to get to the soundboard.
Oh, I thought that was you that did that.
No.
Okay, well, anyway, technically it was. But anyways, my sister is let me see, I'm third, fourth, fifth. So she's fifth oldest. Or I guess you could say she's number 5 in the family. And she's getting married 2 weeks from now. Oh, no, 3 weeks from now. And I know, it's crazy. I'm actually in this wedding. That's kind of cool. You know,
it's because you complained so much at the last one.
Because I gave such a cold shoulder at the last one, and cold chills when Melissa would walk by you. Anyways, I mean, it would be weird if I wasn't, because it's a girl wedding. Then it would be really obvious that they're like, all right, you're a Christian. This one was just easy for them to keep me out of it because it was my brother's wedding. Anyways, that's the whole story. I was thinking about it. I was like, am I overreacting when it comes to that? Because even thinking about it today sort of makes me upset that my brother had a wedding that was very not traditional, totally untraditional. And all my brothers and sisters were in it except for me, which I thought was weird at first, and then I got really mad about it. But maybe I'm overreacting. But I think if I was overreacting, I would get over it eventually. So that's why I think I'm not overreacting.
I think you're not overreacting. I mean, if you're going to invite all the brothers and sisters to the wedding,
and
you can't have
7
of the 8 of them be in the wedding.
Yeah,
that's called rude.
Yeah, that's called I might as well just get punched in the face.
Yeah, you'd rather that. Aren't you supposed to be wearing off-white?
No, it's white.
Oh. All right, so everybody's wearing white.
Super white.
Well, you're pure. You're still a virgin, so you can wear white.
I'm absolutely pure in the eyes of God, because Jesus saved me.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're free of all your sins.
Free of all my sins.
You are absolved of all your sins.
Absolved?
Yes, that's the word.
How do you spell absolved?
ABSO.
LVED.
There you go.
Absolved.
I believe that we've got the phones back. I'm going to take a guess that we do. You're on Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from?
Hey, Jeran, it's Brian from Niagara Falls. How you doing?
Sugar Bush, Ninja Bush. What's up?
Sugar Bush, Ninja Bush. Hi.
No.
Yeah, the Ginger Ninja.
Bush.
There you go. How are the bushwhackers this evening?
I switched it up to the Sugar Bushwhackers just because.
The Sugar Bushwhackers.
The Bushwhackers. The Sugar Bush is it doesn't matter. I'm doing great. Yourself?
Doing fantastic. No complaints.
Awesome. So, Jeran, when the Raleigh conference happened, you and David Weiss had this whole drone thing going on.
Correct.
Do you remember that?
I remember. You mean when we flew the drone? Or when he flew the drone and I stood there and smoked?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that.
You had a video of showing how to simulcast the whole thing. Like you put out a good video of a tutorial for OBS.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember. Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could do it again because I cannot find that video for the life of me. But I would love to see the settings that you have for showing video and whatnot, because I know you're a busy man, and I shouldn't be asking for it because I'm sure I could probably find it somewhere.
You can always
but I would
ask
trust
us
it more
anything.
from you.
Yeah, good.
Well, good. I told somebody else, Nathan, I think, or somebody else. I told that I'd show them. No, I think it was Morgile, because Morgile got sniped in a recent hangout that he had, and yeah, if you use OBS, then you are safe from sniping. So yeah, I'll do it again, or
Snipe free.
You'd be snipe free, exactly. I'll do it again, or
yeah,
I'll
it would
find
be
it.
awesome. But yeah, that'd be fantastic because I can do audio only, but I cannot do video. I don't know how to capture video and
Okay, I'll show you
things like that. But I'm horrible at computers, so that's
it's
just me.
super easy.
But
It's really hard.
well,
It's not.
I know, Missa. Trust me, I know, Missa.
Yeah, so for sure I will do that for you. Anything else going on over there in the Niagara Falls?
In Hamilton, actually, we went to the some sort of a musical festival in Hamilton. Scuba Johnny or Scuba Dracula and I, and a few other flat earthers showed up, but we were flat smacking people all day on the 1st of July, which was Canada Day.
Nice.
So
cool.
it was a fun
converts?
time. We had a lot of interested people, but we handed about 300 to 400 flyers out, or little snippings of paper to people to take a look at. So how many of them ended up in the trash or the ground, I can't tell you, but everybody was mostly polite. We only got moron twice. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Usually you have a much higher percentage of that.
Yeah. People in person, they're not so likely to be complete jerks.
Yep.
No.
Cut myself off there. But
yeah, they're not as bad.
Yeah,
it
because
was a
they
great
can't
time.
hide behind the screen.
That's for sure.
Yeah, you just got to get them to listen.
A lot of people just took it and smiled. But
Yeah. Right.
some people stopped and talked, and that was a lot of fun. So.
Well, good.
Yeah, I'm sure Scuba will have a video up at some point. We don't have good audio, but there'll be a time lapse or something to show us talking to people.
Okay, and then check out my channel. I will have a video for you within the week.
Well, yeah, and there's no rush, Jeran. I know, like I said, I know you're busy, and
Whew, I was gonna say because I'm usually busy.
But it would help.
Babe, I don't think you're supposed to use the soundboard when people call in.
Oh.
Oh, I guess you could, but
She's sitting there. It's like really tempting. It's hard not to use it.
I know.
I don't know what I did to trigger that, but
I don't know
way,
either.
you guys have a great
You and me both. You and me both, Ginger.
Yeah, you guys are on the same team. You're on the team of not listening to the show.
I am innocent over here, 100%.
That's
You are fake news.
Oh yeah, and Missa, if you have a secondary device that's not on the main channel, and you want to come over to the Sugar Bushwhackers,
okay.
Just because we've got a really good crew of people that are over here.
Oh.
Which I don't know if you're watching or not, but
no, but how do I find it? I'll go there right now.
And I'll write your name.
Ginger Sugarbush 905.
Okay. Ginger Sugarbush 1. Oh boy, baby, you're insane right now. Okay, let me see. Hold on. Okay, babe, you can go ahead and.
I really could just do a whole show of just sound bites.
Maybe next week we'll do that, and I won't be here because I will remain innocent.
Speaking of that, we have a special guest coming up in about 15 minutes.
Who is that? Oh, our patron.
Our patron. His name is Brandon, and he's in the elite crew that has donated enough to win himself an interview on the show. So he'll be on here shortly.
Oh, what is it? Ginger Bush what now? I forget what you said. Ginger Bush.
Ginger Sugarbush 905.
Ginger Bush. I don't think it's Ginger.
That's why I was making fun of you earlier, because you always say it wrong.
Sorry. Okay, sorry.
It's a horrible name, I know.
It is. It really
It's
is.
a
I mean, but
stupid
it's whatever. It's whatever. You can't change it now, or else people will think, "Oh my gosh, look, he's ashamed
Oh no.
of his ginger bush."
3 years in, I'm
3
stuck.
years? No, it's fine.
But,
Let me see. Wait. Okay. So you're simulcasting right now? Oh, you are. Oh my gosh, I found you.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have more calls.
And automatic wrench. Yep. Thank you, Jeran. Thank you, Missa.
Talk to you soon.
And,
Hello to all the bushwhackers, and pretend like I licked your foreheads.
And I'm there, so I'll say hi to everybody.
And let's go to the next caller. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from?
Hey, good afternoon or evening, Jeran. It's
Hello.
Andy from Ecuador.
Andy from Ecuador. How's it going?
Hello. It's very good. Listen, I wanted to say, I was listening to the show yesterday, Glowbusters, and thought it was excellent. One of you, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? You know when you answer the phone and you're kind of not ready for it to be answered. So yeah, it was about when you made the comments about perspective and about the fact that perspective is seen to be, or as we should say, things appear to be smaller in the distance. People are arguing the fact that, well, it doesn't necessarily mean, anything. But what you said, which was fantastic, was, okay, well, what if things actually got larger in the distance?
Right.
Now, I'm talking about the curvature calculator. Would we then have to take that into account? Well, of course we would, right? So if we have to take it into account that they get larger, we certainly have to take it into account that they get smaller, right? Or they appear smaller, yeah?
Correct.
So based on that, I had a conversation today. So I was a little bit of ammunition, which I thought was perfect. So I was talking to a guy today who's a physicist, mathematician, and I live in a place in Ecuador where everybody believes that they're open-minded. So the open-minded question in my eyes is, what do you think about the flat earth? Don't speak to me about the flat earth. My God, man, are you stupid? I am a physicist. I am a mathematician. I have seen the curvature. I said, well, you're the only person in the world that's seen the curvature. How high were you? I was at 30,000. He was German, by the way. I was at 30,000 feet. I saw it with my own eyes. And I said, it's impossible. I said, I'll tell you why it's impossible, because, and then I referred back to the scientific world, was, no one but below 60,000 feet can see the curvature. So he kind of mellowed a little bit. He said, I need facts. I need strong facts, physical things. And I said, well, listen, I've taken this video from 64 miles away from the Spanish coast to Ibiza. I've got the video here. Yeah, this is all about that. In fact, that's how we got onto perspective and how we got onto the curvature calculator. So he sucked that one in. And he said to me, listen, he said, I need facts, figures. I was a military pilot. Do you think that I did not see the curvature when I was flying around on my missions? So I said to him, okay, do gyroscopes precess when you're flying? So when you set your aircraft on the ground and then you set your gyroscope and then you take off and you go a quarter of the way around the ball, does your gyroscope precess? And you know what he said to me? Okay, now I'm listening. Because he knew at that point in time, gyroscopes do, as we all know, right? This is a killer when it comes to pilots, because unless you can prove that your gyroscope is being interfered with and is somehow being precessed, you cannot take off and land with the same gyroscope.
Right.
So that's just really what I wanted to say. So, that was my bit of, dude, I'm just sharing with you my excitement about trying to turn these people around, because where I live, it's full of people who are open-minded. But how can you be open-minded if you've never studied this subject?
Yeah, it's very difficult, and that's something I think has been done on purpose. They wanted to make sure people wouldn't even, entertain the thought at all, and that's why they had to teach it so dumb. It's the worst thing you can call somebody. It's the last thing you ever want to be called yourself, as being a flat earther. There's a reason for all that. Now, you didn't. I don't know if you were getting to this part of the story. Did you mention the idea of the perspective and the amount that's supposed to be hidden to this guy today?
Absolutely, yeah. I spoke to that about, and that's how he actually stopped shouting at me and then listened to what I had to say, because I said, all you're taking is that height and ground at bottom, but you're not taking into a fact. Just as I can't remember the guy's name last night, it was Anthony, I think.
Well, Ranty's the one who was shown.
You're not taking into the fact.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Ranty, beg your pardon. Yeah. and I mentioned that. That's when I actually caught his attention. That's when he suddenly thought, okay, the guy is speaking some sense here. Then I got onto my own stuff, and then I got onto the gyroscope, which was the nail in the coffin for him. But also there's another thing I wanted to ask you about, Jeran, was the fact that we've seen these super fantastic photographs from the ISS, which have been done in time lapse. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I live on the equator, right? And I am I take a lot of pictures of the sun and the moon, and I have an extremely difficult time in actually keeping them in the actual lens of the camera. So if they're potentially only traveling 1,004 miles.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw.
Hi there, Chris Gio here. If you're like me, you've heard many shows on TFR discussing the healing benefits of CBDs, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. But with so many options out there, you've probably wasted a ton of money on hemp oils that contain alcohol, solvents, tasted horrible, or simply didn't work. That's why I'm pleased to let you know about Aya Life, a 99% pure CBD oil extract made with all organic ingredients, and best of all, it tastes great, and it works. But Aya Life is much more than just a hemp oil extract. It's a special blend of high-potency CBDs infused with B-Cappy, the non-psychoactive component of the ayahuasca tea. If you're looking to help alleviate pain, inflammation, tremors, anxiety, depression, or simply rebalance your mind, body, and soul, head on over to ayalife.com and get free shipping with coupon code TFR. That's ayalife.com. AYALife.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
For 5,000 years, the world was ruled with wooden ships by one man. 242 years ago, a small group of free men crafted a new nation built on liberty and freedom. Global elites have been fighting to destroy this new nation called America ever since. Based on actual events, Charm of Favor tells a true story of how they corrupted the election system. They infiltrated federal agencies and murdered witnesses, judges, and even presidents to keep from being caught. Now, the largest and wealthiest crime syndicate the world has ever known has been drawn out of the shadows. They have killed hundreds of Americans and recently attempted to assassinate half our congressmen. Still, they escape arrest through an almost supernatural charm of favor. Read Charm of Favor and be prepared to open your eyes to what may lie just around the corner. Charm of Favor is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR. Frequency Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw, and before the break, we were on the phone, and I hope we're still on the phone. You still there?
With Niagara Falls? No, with Australia.
Yeah, I'm still here, Jeran.
Mm-mm.
Ecuador.
Dang it.
Yeah,
Man. Sorry.
Ecuador, yeah. Actually, Jeran, you communicated with me this week. My handles realized this, and we had a little bit of a backwards and forwards with the donations. That was my Patreon, whether you remember or not, besides the point. Anyway, listen. So here's the thing I was talking about. So living on the equator, and I'm with the parallax of the moon and the sun, right? So they hardly, I mean, we kind of believe that they don't move as such. So therefore, for me to actually keep the moon and the sun in my lens to do any type of filming is difficult. I'm having to constantly move the lens. So my question is this: how is it possible that the ISS, which is only 250 miles away, yeah, but it's traveling at 5 miles a second? How is that possible? How can they possibly do a time lapse photograph of the world?
I don't know how they do anything, but I can't give you an answer to that one. I mean, I do think that some of those images they look real to me, but no human is taking them.
Of course,
seems like a high altitude plane is doing it, and they have to do it time lapse.
I totally understand that, but
well, they have to do it time lapse because otherwise they won't be able to. For instance, if they are flying too slow because they're in a plane, not in a high speed craft. So they have to kind of time lapse their photographs and make it look like they were traveling fast. Does that make sense?
Sure, I understand that, but 5 miles. Yeah, absolutely it does. But what I'm saying is, if you're 250 miles away and you're traveling at 5 miles per second, it's going to be impossible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, but I don't think that they are traveling that fast.
Well, of course they're not. That's why I want people to sit and think about what I just said. The reality is, if they are traveling at 5 miles a second and they're only 250 miles away, there is no way that they can produce the photographs they produce, unless, of course, they're only a short distance away, which is probably in a drone or some sort of ship. I've been looking at this for 3.5 years. Dave Murphy, Dave Moore, he woke me up to this. And I've spent almost every day of my life since looking at it, because one of the things, just like most flat earthers, we don't want to be wrong. All we want to do is find out the truth and pass it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the last thing I want is to be telling people something that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that I've been looking for that proof, and it's been 3.5 years, and it's not been shown to me, and I am starting to lose hope in there being that proof. I think it's not there. So, or else I would have been shown it already.
Have you seen the caller? What's your name again? I'm sorry, Steve. I'm so bad.
Andy.
Please forgive me. Okay. Well, have you seen, since you said you've been researching into the ISS and all that stuff for a few years, have you seen that one plane called the Stratolaunch, or it's like the Stratolaunch high altitude plane? It's as big as a football field, and it kind of looks like the ISS, and it's supposedly a high altitude plane. And I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the closest looking planes. That, and then there's the Perseus or something they call it.
Yeah, right.
Or Pegasus.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the solar powered one?
I don't know if it's solar. I don't think it's solar powered. No, I think it's. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't looked at the specifics. I just know it looks like the ISS, and it's like it's a high altitude, and it's just huge looking. That's all I know.
And how fast? So that could well be the ISS, right? Because I saw your photographs the other day, Jeran, that you actually managed to snap this thing going past the moon.
Yeah.
But interestingly, talking about the moon, I've been snapping stuff, and maybe you'd be interested to look at this. But last week I was taking some snaps of the moon, and I had 2 UFOs. I don't know what UFOs, an unidentified flying object. I have no idea what they were, but they passed the moon at such a rate of speed. It's nothing in my life I've ever seen travel so fast. And I've actually got this on film. So,
oh yeah, I'd love to see that. It
almost looks like one of these things of flying in water almost, and which also kind of lends a bit of credence to the ether and the possible fact that there's water up there, whatever. But I'll send them to you. I've kind of done a bit of work with them. They need to be looked at properly. But what I can tell you is, these are remarkable things. And I saw it. Well, you'll see it with your own eyes. These things are traveling at speeds unimaginable. So, yeah, something to look at.
Okay.
Wow, cool.
Thanks. Appreciate it a lot. Appreciate the call. And let's go to one more caller before we get to our guest who's on the line. But who? I think it says government federal agent or something.
Hello?
You're on with Jeranism on NRA. Who's this? Where are you from?
Where are you from?
Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm from Denver.
Tyler from Denver. How's it going? Are you going to the
Colorado.
2018 Flat Earth Conference?
I actually am not. I heard it was sold out. I don't know.
Oh man,
He's from Bob's hometown.
There'll be scalpers there, so don't worry. You can still get tickets.
The hometown of the Bob.
I might. Oh yeah, I might have to sneak in. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. I'll definitely try to go down.
I'm just sneaking in. Okay.
I don't know if I'm actually gonna get in. So.
Oh, you can sneak in. We'll let you. I don't know.
I'll open up a back door.
What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work great. Yo, I just wanted to call in and just give a shout out to you guys. You guys really kill it. You guys are really. There's a lot of reasonable, great people here in the Flat Earth community. I think you guys are really doing a good job. Like I really love your style, man. Just no BS, straight to the point, and you know.
Thank
you.
you.
Like what you guys are doing, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all we can do is just be honest and I mean we're on a search and we just said let's bring some people along with us.
Well, let's see if people even are on the same page. But it makes me feel good. It's refreshing knowing when people or hearing when people recognize that we're just regular people and we're not doing anything non-regular, I guess you could say. Shady.
Nope. And no, it's great.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for some of the emails I've gotten throughout this whole process that so many people are saying, keep doing this, keep speaking out because it's stuff that we've always thought or stuff we've always felt that we can't say, people in different positions and jobs. And, I understand that. And we're in a predicament or a situation where we can do it. So we're going to continue doing it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. One quick thing, once you guys go, have you guys noticed, like, since the rebirth of the Flat Earth, like, since it's come up in popularity and stuff, like, I've totally noticed just, like, an increase in, like, globe propaganda and, like, globe porn everywhere. It's just, like,
absolutely.
You can't escape it. It's like they're ramping it up.
Damage control, that's what it is.
Yeah, that or I wonder, I still wonder if it has always been that bad and it's just now that we're awake to it, we see it. Or if they've stepped it up. It's hard to know, but
it just feels like they're stepping it up.
It feels like they're stepping it up. It seems like, now I've seen this. Chris Hatfield has some show coming out, the Universe, where he's basically doing like the Seinfeld driving around with people getting coffee, only it's him driving around like talking about the universe with Michio Kaku. And I mean, these guys now just sound so dumb to me. I told Missa yesterday we're listening to Michio Kaku's video, and I said to her, can you believe we used to like this guy? I mean, one time we actually were like, this guy's cool.
When we were atheists for 4 months.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
Oh, I feel it. Like, you guys keep rocking. This is my first time ever calling into like a radio show. I'm a little nervous, but I'll probably be giving you guys a call again. Keep doing awesome. Keep kicking ass. I love your all style. Please just stay at it.
Hey, appreciate that, and maybe we'll see you in Denver come November. So appreciate the call.
That is so sweet. I really that means
don't cry. There's no crying on the show.
Oh, sorry.
We wait till after.
That's really I love that. That's so nice.
So we have a special treat. We've got a guest joining us. Hopefully he can be heard. Are you there, Brandon Toy?
Yeah. Hey, Jeran. Hey, Missa.
Hi.
What's going on?
Great. You sound better than we do.
Yeah, you
do.
Absolutely.
Oh, good. I spent about an hour setting up this microphone because it's the first time I've ever used it, so I had no idea how it was going to sound.
Well, it sounds excellent.
Like you should take over the show, basically.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on.
Okay, yeah, you guys can go ahead and drop off.
We're going to take the night off.
Yeah, we'll drop
No,
off.
trust me, the viewership or the listenership would plummet after that. I promise you that.
You mean it would go to 3 to 2 or 1?
Go from 5.
So, Brandon, tell everybody about yourself a little bit and why you're on the show.
Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure thing. I got into Flat Earth about 3 months ago, although I've been kind of a truther for a long time. I'm an Iraq War vet. I went over in 2005. I was stationed in Baghdad. And there was a lot of shady shit going on over there. And about 3 months in, I realized that it was a joke, me along with everyone else in my unit. So it wasn't just me. It was just kind of something that you could just tell plain as your face that whatever we were doing over there, it wasn't bringing democracy to Iraqis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after that, I kind of got home and I went to work for General Dynamics Land Systems. I was kind of a low-level project manager working on the Stryker combat vehicle. And I did that for about 5 years, finished my master's degree, and I started getting in more and more into like alternative news and politics and stuff, and started reading articles about what was really going on in Iraq with the death squads and stuff. And I just kind of threw caution to the wind, and I publicly resigned from General Dynamics Land Systems, which was interesting. I sent an email to the president and ended up on the Alex Jones show and RT and did all this crazy shit for about 3 months. And then, that was kind of cool. Came back to reality. And I just discovered the flat earth, like I said, about 3 months ago. Actually, about 6 months ago, I watched a couple videos and I was like, well, that's interesting. Okay. I still wasn't sold on 100% that the moon landing was faked. And then about 3-4 months ago, I saw that movie, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. I don't know how that escaped me for so long. But I watched that and I was like, okay, obviously. I mean, that was the last nail in the coffin. This is so fake. And then I started running into your videos.
Sorry about that.
No, it was fantastic. And David Weiss's video, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, what is this? It was like watching something aliens would make or something. It didn't quite register with my mind.
I never heard it described like that. That's cool. That's a good
description, yeah.
Yeah, with the earth blowing up, a Jeranism. What is that? Some kind of new religion? What is this guy? Kind of a religious leader or what? And I know you hate that because I've heard you talk about it, how that connotation.
It's unfortunate that
kind of stuck with you.
Fine.
But it's funny that Miss and I will actually sit there and we always say to each other, like, can you imagine if somebody who believes in the globe watches this video, like one of my videos, like if it just came up, like they'd be like, just like, what the hell is going on?
Like you said, like it's an alien thing or something. It's great.
No, it was like I was like, these guys are serious. Like they're not joking around, or this guy's not a religious nut. He's talking to these different people, and there was like a 4-hour argument or conversation you had with a really religious guy who was like pounding the Bible and saying, no, the Bible is the truth. And you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know who to trust anymore. That was written by men.
Yeah, and that's what truth is stranger than fiction will.
Yeah, that's it. And that really got me hooked. I'm like, wow, these guys are serious. And David Weiss's videos, I was like, first time I heard David Weiss, I think it was on one of your hangouts, and you were making fun of astronauts in the tank, and you could see bubbles, and you were pointing it out and laughing, and Missa was laughing.
I remember that. That was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I started looking for everything by David Weiss. I was like, okay, I got to find deep inside the rabbit hole. I got to look at this. And listening to him, because he really lays it out. He's enthusiastic. He's smart, intelligent, just like you guys. And that's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a new religion. I'm not looking for, something foolish to follow. I'm not looking to join a revolution. I'm just looking to know what the hell's going on in the world.
Right.
Well, David Weiss was a really good friend of ours until this morning when he called and told us that he didn't like our song. Then he's on the shit list now. So.
Right. But
I saw him in the chat.
Other than that, he's a great guy. But as of this morning, shit list.
No, anyways.
Yeah,
but no, he has good videos. They're quick and short and quick to the point for people who don't have a long attention span too. That's always good to like send them to. Or that was kind of rude. I mean, for short and quick, you don't have a lot of time or whatever.
Yeah. He says it for people with ADD. Yeah, no, they're good videos, and he mirrors a lot of your stuff. That's pretty cool. But his other stuff too, not just flat Earth stuff, like the 9/11 stuff, and I saw some analysis he did of the Boston bombing. I had no idea what was going on there. That blew my mind.
Yeah, really.
Those were his. I think those the false flags were like his original focus. He was focused on what were the big three or something. It was called.
He had the podcast Deep Inside
the Rabbit Hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
he focused on those things. Yeah.
I think I heard him on Caravan to Midnight, which I stopped watching recently, but. I heard him on there, and he was just breaking it down. I can't remember who was with him, but I was like, holy crap, these people are not injured. What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
You just kind of slowly wake up. And I thought I was awake already. Right. After I had, said, screw you, I'm not helping the war machine, and walked away. And then here I was still inside this, huge illusion, which I still have no idea what the hell's going on. In fact, I think my leading theory, I think, is along the lines of Max Egan. Did you guys listen to his latest podcast?
If you
haven't, it's fantastic. Well, he's just coming back from that vacation, and I think he's kind of starting to lay out what he's been thinking for the last couple years. But I think we're in some kind of farm myself. I don't know what kind of farm. I don't know what's going on. But you guys ever watch New Earth or any of the stuff about the mud floods and the buried houses and all these megaliths and these
I've watched a lot of that stuff. I mean, a lot of that megalith looks like
being
it
buried
was,
and stuff.
was a former existence or civilization at some point.
But
I can see what you're saying, being farmed, because we kind of almost have the same kind of idea, but it's not so much farmed. It's just like this is a
controlled area.
Yeah, it's
people.
It's a testing bed, and there's a lot of dirtballs out there that are not doing too well. at their test.
They're failing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting too. It seems like things have been wiped out and then rebuilt over and over again. I think it was you that I heard talking about population growth numbers and how they don't add up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. And then also the fact that if God wrote the Bible, I really feel strongly that there would be dates in there. And the fact that there's not dates scares me. And the fact that they could, restart everything and then bring the book out again. And then you can associate any dates with it. You can again say, well, Jesus was born on the year 0 and just start over again, no matter what year it is. And people wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, sure. They just give it to their little cronies, their little chosen ones, whoever the overlords are, and say, okay, here, play this one. This is called the Bible, and just tell these people that there was this guy that came, and, after a couple of generations, people are like, yeah, that happened. Of course that happened. And we forget easily, and I think at the beginning of the control cycle, like the Dark Ages, something happened in the Dark Ages, man. They wiped out history. They erased it. They rewrote. I don't know what the heck happened. That's when the whole globe thing started, too, in my opinion. Aristophanes is BS. They made that up. I never heard about that when I was a kid, and it doesn't work anyway. Mm-hmm. It's a stupid test. Anybody who says that is a joker,
Especially once you realize how far he thought the sun was. That's another detail I just recently found. He thought that the sun was 1/12 as big as the Earth, so there's no way he could have believed in parallel rays and all the nonsense that they have to go with the actual measurement of the Earth, the way they say he did it.
Yeah, if you're going to lie to us, at least get your story straight. Don't you by millions and millions of miles, every few years. And
that comes with the territory, though, I think, when you lie.
Yeah, I know. Thank goodness that's part of being a liar is that you cannot possibly cover everything. So you just got to find that one little mistake. But there's so many of them. I mean, earlier today I was talking to somebody on the Telegram group, and they were asking me about flights between Sydney and Santiago, and I was explaining how they work. And then I said, there's only one flight that is not taken on Earth. And then I looked at the Flat Earth map, kind of sent him a picture of it, the AE map, and I said, it clearly shows here, well, if you look at that map, the AE map, there really is only one flight that cannot be done. And that is the
Australia?
New Zealand. No, it's the Auckland, New Zealand to Johannesburg, South Africa.
Oh, like that's really big.
It's like really far, and then the people in the plane would expect to go over ice, so they couldn't cut across the North Pole. They would have to.
That's the chunk I think that they decided when they were making the globe they had to cut that out.
Right, and so what happens is you look at it, and again, it's like so many things lead to this. To where why would it be that the one flight that doesn't exist on the Earth is the one flight that on the AE map couldn't be done?
Now it really does not exist. Like there's nobody.
No, there's no Auckland to Johannesburg flight.
I'm trusting you on that one because that's
that's really interesting. I think that there is a lot more to be learned from the planes and what they're doing in the skies and the routes and stuff. I watched some stuff by Enslaved by No Media, and he just goes wherever he wants and films videos and does these observations. And I'm starting to think that they're hiding some new technology with the planes. I know this is not a new idea. But these jets do not seem to work like they tell us to. And I work right by an airport. I watch them go over all day. I swear those planes are not going 180 miles an hour, which is what they're supposed to be going on, when they're coming into the airport. I'm no expert, but they just seem like they're floating in the sky to me.
I know. I've told people for years, I've told people that planes take off at like 60 miles per hour.
Well, that's what it feels like, too, when you're in it.
I just look at planes. I'm like looking out when I'm like, this plane, I think I was told as a child that they went 200.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if it was just me.
See, I thought when you asked me that, I was like, they go about 60 or 70 miles per hour to get up in the sky, and you said, no, they go like 200. Like, no, they don't.
Well, I don't know what they say they go.
If that's true, though, if they say that, then you would be like thrown back in your seat when you take off. But
yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like a bus ride, right?
Yeah, totally.
A little nose up, and there we go.
And you're like walking around up there like nothing's going on when you're up in the air. It's just weird.
Ding!
Yeah.
You're now free to move about the country.
I have a question for you, Brandon. If you don't mind. I always ask everybody when they come on our show, but were you raised in a religion, or were you raised in, I guess my question is, how were you raised in terms of religious or non-religious type situation?
Pretty much non-religious. We didn't go to church or anything. Okay. I dabbled in church when I was a kid, but it never really stuck with me. I think I got saved and baptized. Nice. 12-year-old me was like, well, why not? Let's just, do it. What's it going to hurt?
Right.
Just in case, that kind of church-going thing. But no, I've never been really religious.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was always wondering about that.
Yeah, because, for you and I, we grew up around people that were all brought up religiously.
Yeah.
So
I didn't become a Christian. I was raised and born. I was born a Christian. So that's all I knew, you know.
You were
And it
born
was
with
just-
angel's wings.
And thank goodness you saved me from that.
No,
You saved me from it.
Oh.
Being a Christian, because I know flat Earth gets lumped in with religion a lot. Did you ever remember growing up in a religion, people talking about the Earth being flat?
No, I certainly didn't.
No, not at all. But also, I didn't really remember anybody talking about the Earth's shape, period. Really.
I do remember coming home and asking my mom about the Earth's shape, and she just said, "Well, yeah, that's what scientists have said. We're on a spinning ball." So it was, you kind of have nowhere else to go after that. There's no one else to talk to. So
Interesting. Because my mom, before I went into, I think it was junior high, I remember her telling me, now you're going to learn some stuff in your science class that's like evolution and stuff, and that's not true. So just learn it for your test, but it's not what we believe.
Interesting. Yeah, because
Like,
Catholics
okay, well.
Catholics are much different in the fact that they concede those things.
Right.
Right. So they kind of try and mix them. Like, well, yeah, creation is true and evolution is kind of mixed. So they don't really ever say, not listen to what you're doing. I just noticed in high school that they tried to force both beliefs on you. They tried to push you into that, science mindset, and then also at the same time they're pushing the religious mindset,
Sheesh.
which is really confusing for, at least it was for me.
Well,
and
yeah,
I just chose to give up on it. Well, obviously they must work for a lot of people because people remain Catholics and they must believe in the going narrative. So
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
My mother is my birth mother. I didn't grow up with her, but she's a devout Catholic, and she's also a 8th grade or 6th grade, I think, earth science teacher.
Wow.
And a geologist. So I asked her about it the other day because I was telling her about it. She's like, "Well, that's really interesting," and all that. I don't know if she was just giving me lip service or if she was genuinely interested. But I said, what do you think about the globe? I mean, because one of my theories is that they're trying to hide God. They're trying to hide divinity. I think everybody's had that thought. But she said it actually makes the world more perfect and fits in better with my religion than a flat Earth would.
The round Earth does, huh?
Yeah. Because it's
Well,
like a perfect little marble spinning through the galaxy, and everything's perfect and round, and everything works just right.
I could see that with a Catholic, but I could not see a Christian saying that.
Because a Christian believes the words of the Bible are
Correct.
100%. Yeah, God.
And the Bible says like some crazy amount of times that the Earth doesn't move.
Mhm.
So to be a Christian and then believe that the Earth doesn't move, but believe the Bible, but also believe that we are moving through space,
Yeah.
doesn't really pan out.
So, and because Catholics don't take the Bible's word as literal or whatever, then
Correct.
you could see that being a thing.
Yeah, because they're the ones who wrote it, so it's
Right.
pretty smart of them to say like, oh, we shouldn't believe everything in there.
Have you guys ever been to Catholic church? I don't want to bash on Catholic church, but I went to a mass.
Oh,
It
I was
very weird.
It's this weird
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, I grew up in it like.
You were an altar boy.
I was altar boy. I
Mhm.
was worked at the church. I went to the Philippines to see the Pope when I was
Yeah.
14.
I went to
wow.
one church. I'm sorry, one Catholic church mass. Is that what it's called? Oh boy, and I felt like I was in like Satan's house. It was like creepy and dark and like weird songs, and I was like, this is not what I'm used to. This is totally wrong. Like it was just funny. It was weird.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of the words, and
Mhm.
the priest looked like he was angry, like he was mad or something. Like
They
I don't
are
know.
kind of little.
Well, I'd be mad too if I couldn't get my groove on.
Yeah, and I actually look back at that, and that was a big thing in my life, is being friends with, or at least working in the same building as these priests, because I was able to talk to them as real people, and that's where I was able to kind of dig a little deeper and say, like, do you talk to God? And they're like, well, I feel him in my life. I'm like, no. Does he talk to you? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, what the hell are you? Why are you a priest?
Yeah.
Like, why would
am
you
I listening to you then?
Why would you have given up your life if you feel God the same way I do? Okay, I feel God in my life too. Okay, that doesn't mean that I'm going to become a priest. So I think it really helped me to just see, and then to see that they were real people, that they put on a face for the crowd when we walk out of church, and as an altar server, we would stand next to him when he would shake people's hands and kind of play that role. And then at night, when it's 9 o'clock at night and there's a homeless guy at the door looking for money for food, and I would go to the priest and say, hey, there's a homeless guy. He'd say, give him a $5 gift certificate and tell him to get out of here. He'd be like, all right. but you recognize that they're just real people. They're
Yeah.
real guys.
There's nothing special there in terms
They
of
like
godly.
sports. They like basketball. They like football. They're just real people, but they have taken a job that requires them to look this holy person, and
Yeah.
they wear dresses,
Yeah.
which has been robes and like
Yeah.
purple gowns, and it's just they're weird.
Mhm.
But
that's kind of the same with me too, with being raised a Christian, because my dad was very like during the week he would be.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
He
Well, we
would
noticed
be,
that, right?
Or he would just get done yelling at my mom, telling her she's fat. Right before church, and then we'd get to church and he'd be like all huggy and like, oh bless you, oh God bless you, oh yes, the Lord is so good, da da da. So it's like,
like he told me before.
seeing it firsthand is just like gross.
Before we found out that he had cheated on Mrs. Mom, he told me that he was starting an orphanage, and I said, oh, you are? What are you going to name it? He says, Cross Point Ministries. I said, Cross Point? All right, how'd you come up with that? He said, well, I was on the plane and Jesus came to me and told me that I should name him. I'm like,
Oh,
wow.
So you just have to cheat on me in order for
Right.
Jesus
So I've
to
never
talk
talked
to
to
you.
Jesus, so I guess I could cheat on his daughter, and then Jesus. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Jeranism Monday night.
Good night.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like Beyond the Veil with Chris and Cherie Geo, X Squared with Brooks Agnew, Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas, Jeranism Raw with Jeran and Missa, Fearless with Frank Castle, Strange World with Mark Sargent, The Eye of Ra with Ra Castaldo, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray, Ironworks with Josh Corey, The Kev Baker Show, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117 or call into your favorite show toll free at 833-TFR-LIVE. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear on the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
State visit, supreme heat. I'm Jan Johnson. The White House says Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will make his third trip to North Korea this week, but Press Secretary Sarah Sanders won't address reports about U.S. intel that Kim Jong-un may be shoring up his nuclear arsenal instead of preparing to scrap it.
I'm not going to confirm or deny any of the intelligence reporting that's out there. And as far as the one-year timeline, Ambassador Bolton said if North Korea makes the decision to denuclearize, their ballistics programs could be dismantled in a year.
The search is heating up for a new Supreme Court justice.
President Trump letting on he'd met with as many as 4 Supreme Court nominee candidates.
They are outstanding people, really incredible people in so many different ways, academically and every other way.
But he's not made up his mind.
I'll be meeting with 2 or 3 more.
Mr. Trump has given himself until next Monday to make a decision. He wants to announce the choice before a week-long trip to Europe.
I think the person that is chosen will be outstanding.
Democrats like Senator Dick Durbin warn about the president having a litmus test to overturn Roe versus Wade and are throwing in another potential case.
That the Affordable Care Act's protection of those with pre-existing conditions is unconstitutional.
Bob Costantini, Washington.
In Thailand, what onlookers call a miracle. 12 boys and their soccer coach found alive after 9 days trapped inside a flooded cave. But Mark Phillips reports they still have to figure out how to get them out.
The water's still rising up. It hasn't moved. They've been desperately trying to drain these caves for the last 4 days. At one stage, they were pumping out 1.6 million litres of water an hour. And it still hasn't made little difference.
Heat and wind are stunting the fight against a massive wildfire that's tearing through a rural part of Northern California at a pace of 1.5 square miles an hour. Hundreds of homes, mostly ranches, are under evacuation orders. I'm Jan Johnson.
You are now tuned into the Truth Frequency. Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
On the weekday, don't be surprised, don't be surprised.
They even talk like us. Walk like us. But they are not like us. On the weekday, you can see the signs, you can see the signs. They wear the disguise. Look into the mind's eye. There's nowhere to hide. No stick-covered lines. Whispers from
Hello.
Welcome back. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. And joining me this evening is Brandon Toy. And before the break, Brandon, go ahead and continue talking about what you were talking about.
Oh, you mean as far as the religious stuff, or you want to go somewhere else?
No, I did want to ask you, though, too. I wanted to find out. So you said that you just came into this about 4 months ago. Did you hear about it, a year or two ago in passing in a news piece? Any kind of I'm just kind of wondering how much this is really being heard by the, general masses.
Yeah, I heard I was a news junkie before I got into Flat Earth. In fact, that's one of the fantastic changes in my life since I took up Flat Earth is now I watch Flat Earth nonstop instead of Fox News and read everything else. But I heard it here and there. I don't remember anything. I heard the comments, like the derision. But I never thought of it any deeper than that until I kind of got bored and found the end of the internet and was like, well, I'm out of conspiracies to look into. How about I look into Flat Earth and see if I can figure out what the hell is going on here? And pretty soon found out that there was no proof that the Earth is a globe, and I just got sucked in. And when it first started, when I first got into Flat Earth, I was listening to it literally 20 hours a day, falling asleep with my headphones on, listening to it in the car because I was like, I gotta figure this out. I gotta know if the Earth is flat or if it's round. There's gotta be proof out there one way or the other. I just have to know. I was driving my wife crazy because I was telling her about all this stuff, and she's like, she doesn't care a lick,
right.
Not a freaking lick. In fact, you guys are the first people I've actually talked to, had a conversation with that also think the Earth is flat. There's no one around me that thinks it.
Yeah, there's if you just be online for a little bit, you'll start to see people or obviously in the Telegram chat or Discord has a bunch of rooms going on right now. But yeah, I totally agree that it is tough to talk to people. Like your wife, for instance. Running into people like that. My mom's like that. My sister's like that, where they're just kind of it doesn't matter to their daily life, so they don't see the importance of it, and they think that it's just too big of a lie to basically be propagated this long, and that's their kind of opinion. So I mean, my mom still thinks I'm sure she still thinks she lives on the globe, but at least they're open to hearing about it, but then that's it. They don't want to really hear about it more. And I don't know, I find people like that everywhere, and it's a sign for me that they are afraid of something. I don't know how else to put it. I don't think it's just simple as they don't think it's important. Maybe that's just me. I tend to think I have this inkling inside me that I feel like everybody is given the truth when they're born, meaning that you kind of grow up knowing the shape of the Earth, and then, of course, school is going to change that opinion of yours, but it changed mine, changed everybody's. But I'm saying that I think when people hear Flat Earth, I think it might harken back to them to times in the past where they either felt that the Earth might be flat or that they looked at the Earth and said, oh, this kind of looks flat. And again, that could be just me, and maybe that I'm completely projecting that onto other people. But I have run into a few people who have agreed and said, no, I do remember asking questions in kindergarten and first grade, not quite understanding it. And then I went and asked my brothers and sisters, and they laughed at me and said, science has already proven it. And, now I'm questioning gravity. So it just seems to me that I think there might be something inside everybody, and that's why we get so much kickback and hate. Because you could go on YouTube and say anything, Brandon. You can say anything you want, and you will not get as much hate as you will if you go and say the Earth is flat.
Yeah, it's really amazing the amount of hate and the amount of people on the globe side who just refuse to acknowledge any evidence that there's anything substantial to our side of the argument. I'm talking about like flat Earth math and those guys who you all regularly bump into. But
Absolutely.
It's like you're looking at it right in front of your face. Or on Flat Earth Debate, these guys come on and they make a point, they obfuscate. I hear the same kind of rhetoric from them as I hear from politicians, news people, people in the media when they talk about different subjects. It's the same tactics, same rhetoric, rhetorical tricks, same propaganda. It's like they're cut from the same cloth.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the big hints to me that's like, okay, you know what? I need to look into this more, because all I hear on the Flat Earth side is good points. I don't hear obfuscation. I don't hear lying. I don't hear propaganda. And then when I hear the globe side of the argument, I hear the exact opposite. I hear exactly what I hear when I watch, MSNBC or NBC or CBS and listen to politicians, et cetera. So that was a big hint for me.
And I think it's obvious, at least from my perspective, and I know other people that are out there that are viewers more than they are content creators maybe don't see it. But for me, it just becomes obvious that everybody's got that same narrative. Like you say, they are cut from the same cloth. That's why I kind of give them a hard time and say that, you do still have a brain. It is okay to think. It is okay to come to your own conclusions, because these guys are just basically walking, Wikipedians is what I call them, because they only believe what Wikipedia believes. And, one of the questions I'll ask, and give you a little hint if you're out there listening, Red's Rhetoric, I have a debate with him on the 13th, Friday the 13th. And one question I'll ask him right from the beginning is, I just need to know one thing that you believe that Wikipedia doesn't. And, I'd be interested to know what that is, because if he can't come up with one thing, then I'm just going to point out, well, I could have this debate then with Wikipedia.
Oh, absolutely. He's a walking textbook.
Right, exactly. And I don't find that impressive.
All of it.
I mean, I don't find that impressive at all. I find that to be somebody who's, and I don't want to be rude and say a waste of space, but really, if somebody's only sole purpose is to repeat what's in textbooks and what's on Wikipedia, then I really don't understand that person as another human being. Whereas you and I, you may believe 90% of what Wikipedia says, but that 10% that you don't is what makes you a unique and individual human being, to where I can learn your thoughts, your beliefs, and then kind of from that formulate my own based on other people's opinions. But when you run into those people that are they're just reading out of a textbook, it's like, well, I really didn't need to have this conversation with you. I really didn't need to, because I could have just read a book, which I already know what the book believes. That's what I'm saying I don't believe. So to keep running into these guys and keep rehashing the same old things is like, would you keep going back to a book and reading it over and over again, even though you already know what the book says, you already don't agree with it? Why do I keep going back and reading through this book? Personal problem, I guess.
Absolutely. No, that's what I've been thinking lately. It's like, is there really a point in talking to these guys? Like, is there a point in talking to Red's Rhetoric? Is there a point in talking to Flat Earth Math? Is there a point in talking to Rumpus or any of these guys anymore? Because they will never concede one single thing. They will never acknowledge that you've made a point. And Red in particular, he's pretty slick. He uses his charisma.
Right.
And he has this derision thing down where I'll go, okay, let me tell you the way to Jesus, and he does
right.
that, hand to face thing. And it's a little psychological trick that he employs very effectively.
Yeah, no, I totally see that as well. And the only thing, and I probably based too much off of, a few emails, but back when I first talked to him, and then even about, maybe it was a year and a half ago or so, but I got emails from people saying that they were followers of Red who had watched our conversation and had since become flat earthers, and just told me to make sure I continued doing what I was doing, because one of the things that caught their eye or their ear was the fact that Red would continue to go to these ad hominem attacks, or, even a 2-year-old could do it, and you're so stupid, anybody can get this. And they just said, well, the fact that I would stay calm and then explain why I didn't agree and what about it was different, in my opinion, that they were more open to looking into it than they would have been. If somebody had been yelling back, they said they wouldn't have probably even looked into it. So I kind of take that sometimes, and I also look at it and say, is anybody going to watch this and become a glober? And I just don't think it's possible. I mean, I really don't think anybody's going to watch a debate with me and Red's Rhetoric and then say at the end, well, now I believe in the globe again. Whereas I do think some people that would watch that are globe believers could walk away from a debate and hear some of the things I said and have an open mind to it a little bit more. So is it really worth it? Probably not. But at the same time, I got this one on the 13th, but it may be my last.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, and I agree with you that no glober is going to, or no flat earther is going to change his mind after hearing the same thing out of Red Rhetoric's mouth or any of the other's mouth for the 100th time. But you may be able to sway some people who are just dipping their toes in the water on the globe side and say, hey, you know what? I never thought about that. But I did wanted to tell you a little more of my journey to flat Earth. I never really thought 100% that the Earth was a globe. I always had this like nagging kind of suspicion.
That's that's funny. That's what I just said.
yeah. And there was a couple of instances in particular. One was a couple years ago. I was putting a presentation together at work, and I wanted a picture from space of Detroit, like the Michigan area. I was like, I want a satellite picture of Detroit. So I went out and looked at it, and I found, I searched satellite image of Detroit, and Blue Marble and a couple more came up and some CGI. I'm like, no, I want a real picture. Why can't I find a real picture? There should be pictures of every single inch of this Earth. What is this, like a defense secret? I couldn't figure it out. And then, I always thought, like, okay, the Earth's a globe, so everything's got to bend. So you're building a bridge, it all bends a little bit, and I know they say it's the slack, and it doesn't add up to that much, but it just never made sense to me that everything is bending all the time. How would you ever build anything? How would you ever, anything long? It would be impossible. It would just compound problems so much. And I know that there's ways around that, and they say, well, you're building on a level plane on top of the Earth. Well, okay, whatever. That just always nagged at me. But I always had these little nagging things like helicopters. Okay, the Earth's spinning. How come if we go up in a helicopter, it won't move under us? And I know they have an explanation for that, and I know they have explanations for all those things, but all of it just never added up 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, what is their explanation for that? That the atmosphere is moving with the Earth, right?
Yeah, which is ridiculous. How can you spin something and have the air around it move? I know they've got explanations for it, like it's an encased.
Yeah, but I don't think their explanations. Sometimes I think their explanations are just that. But if we really look at them and challenge them, is when we're finding some of these holes. Like that whole idea doesn't make sense when you think about a helicopter that's leaving a moving aircraft carrier, because technically, according to their belief, then when the helicopter leaves the aircraft carrier, he should just be moving with the aircraft. Moving with the but he can't. He has to actually move around and maneuver. You can't just stay there and be okay. Now I'm going with the atmosphere, with the boat, with the water. No, it's not the way it works.
Yeah, no, it's just a ridiculous thing. But the one that really gets me is you take a flight from the equator to the North Pole. At the equator, it's going 1,000 miles per hour, and then at the North Pole, it's going 0. So the ground under you is changing speeds. The air you're going through is changing speeds. How the hell are you going to land that thing? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
Plus, they say, whenever you say, oh, we're spinning 1,000 miles per hour, they say, we can't feel speed. We feel acceleration and deceleration. It's like, okay, well, if we leave the equator, we're going 1,000 miles per hour, and we land at the North Pole or Alaska, we're going 300 miles per hour. That's a big change, of acceleration. And, I mean, anybody who'd lived in, say, Alaska their whole life and then went to the equator should get off the plane and fall down.
Yeah, that's just the thing. Any angle that you look at into the globe model, you can pick apart and find something that doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
I mean, that should tell you something right there. If this was a rock solid model and we were living on a globe, you wouldn't be able to look at, I'll say, almost every single avenue of that model and find something that's wrong with it. That wouldn't happen. And I think sometimes we get caught up in this dialectic. There's the protagonist, the flat earth math, and the Red's rhetoric, and those guys on the one side. And then there's, you and everybody else on the other side. And we think that there's an argument going on. But when I stop and think about it, sometimes I go, there's no argument going on. These guys over here are behind. They haven't caught up to us. The earth is freaking flat.
Yeah. And
it just is.
And I guess it's a personal thing. I say, I want that one test, that one experiment that I can just hand over when one of these guys went, hey, can we debate, can we talk? It's like, no, this is the test that proved it, it's done. And I feel like there's a lot of evidence for the flat earth, but I feel like there is a lot of evidence for the globe earth too. Now I recognize that the evidence for the globe earth has been placed there and has been contrived and on purpose, right? I mean, that's by design. So, and all the flat earth proof and evidence has been painstakingly researched or discovered or uncovered by just nobody's sitting at home and basically doing this in their free time. So it is a big difference between the two camps. But I do have. We should maybe talk about the idea for our experiment after. Remind me.
Okay, you mean the one with the tube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was possible, but so I think that's interesting. You said that you weren't sure that, or you had your doubts about the Earth being a globe. I don't know if you heard this story, but I'll tell it to you real quick. There was a guy who wrote me an email who said that 10 years ago he was flying in a plane, and he said he was looking out the window for like a few hours, and he said he just really was starting to think like, man, why does the Earth look so flat? And he started thinking about the globe and started thinking, he's like, man. And then the guy sitting in the middle seat on the aircraft was next to him, and he was kind of looking out the window too, and he said, hey, you ever look out there and think that the Earth might be flat? And the guy says, yeah, if you're a fucking idiot. And he's like, oh, geez. So he said that was 10 years ago, and he said every moment since then that he's even started to think about the flat Earth, he hears that voice from the guy sitting next to him who says, no, if you're an effing idiot. And it wasn't until we started coming out with some of these videos that he was able to go back and believe what he wanted to believe the previous 10 years.
Being okay with being an idiot.
Right, but I mean, just that one statement, scared that guy for 10 years.
Yeah, that ridicule is a powerful tool. It really
boy,
is.
As ever, yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to look like an idiot, especially when they think there's no one in the camp with them. Now, It's one thing to think something unusual. It's another thing to think something unusual and be called an idiot by, basically everyone in the television and the teachers and all the authorities.
Yeah.
It takes a big leap. I think it does take some courage to adopt the flat Earth. Less so now than it used to, because of the work that you guys have done and others have done to pave the way and put the evidence out there. I mean, there's so much evidence out there.
Yeah, and it's just it's tough. I mean, when you hear more on every day, more on this, more, you can get over that, but it's like then the things that start falling after that are like you're scamming people, you're stealing money, you're doing this for money, then it just gets to be like, man, I mean, how do you convince somebody that that's not the case? You're like, dude, whatever. I mean, been doing this for 3.5 years. You can't.
Yeah.
But it just becomes, and then that's what I was talking about earlier when I said these guys all seem like they're cut from the same stone, because it's just verbatim, one after another. They just say the same things, nothing new. It's like they heard it from the same guy who said the same thing. And it's just they don't have any kind of anything new. It's always the same.
They always have the ridicule. That's all they got.
Ridicule. You're doing this for money. You're a liar. It's just that same thing. It's just, and I guess,
you must be,
right,
because of how not insane and psycho and out of your mind you just don't sound.
Well, it's like I was telling the Globebuster guys yesterday that I said, when I point out something like Canagoo, which I'm going to start getting that right, Canagoo. It's not Canagal, it's Canagoo.
Just call it Canny.
When I point out Canagoo and show them that this mountain that's 9,000 feet should be behind 13,000 feet of curvature, that their only response to that must be that I'm lying. Because if I'm telling the truth, then that means that their belief in the globe is somehow not correct. Well, so I must be lying. It's just their default. They cannot think something else.
Your sister said it to you. She's like, I'm more inclined to believe that all the scientists in the world are telling the truth, because that would mean that, or what did she say exactly? I'm sorry, I screwed up.
No, she was just basically saying that she thinks it's more likely that a bunch of guys on YouTube are wrong about the shape of the Earth than there would be that a bunch of scientists all over the world are wrong about their belief about the shape of the Earth. And,
I hear that a lot too from my family. Oh, you watch a few YouTube videos, they think I'm brainwashed or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not brainwashed. I can watch stuff and discern what's truth or not.
And the thing is, the people who can't do that are anybody who's gone through the system. If you've gone through schooling and education and graduate school, and those people that are astrophysicists, they are being brought up with the book of facts and the book of it's their holy book. So they're just going to be, if there's any group of people that's going to have a hard time seeing that they've been lied to, it's that group.
The educated one.
Right.
Well, and I'll tell you something. As someone who derived their income from something that I knew was a lie when I was at General Dynamics Land System, I knew I was helping the war machine, and I hated it. I hated it. But that was my paycheck, too. There's that part of it, too. A lot of people derive their pay from it. They don't want to give that up.
No way.
Especially if they have a family and
And I've always put it out there like Neil deGrasse. I mean, somebody who's spent their entire life, when you get to that point, you tell your family how smart you are. You tell your friends how smart you are.
When you tell radio shows that you work really hard at making sure that you're right whenever your mouth opens.
Right.
That guy's a doof.
Oh man.
He reminds me of the blowhard in the bar that you hope doesn't come over to your table.
Right.
He does a six-pack.
The guy that's in there every night. Like, God, what is this guy doing back here again?
Please Yeah, don't. Oh, Neil's coming over here. Don't look at him. Don't make eye contact.
He's gonna ask for a quarter. Don't give him a quarter. Nobody give him a
Right.
quarter.
Right.
Yeah, the guy's just, and again, I understand why, because you're going around to auditoriums and telling children how smart you are and how great the universe is. So the last thing that you can ever allow to enter your psyche is that all of that was wrong.
Yep.
You know,
You've already told so many people that it is scientifically perfect and correct,
Right.
and
And that's why I think those people are more useful when they really believe it.
Oh yeah.
What is something you don't want on your payroll is somebody who's lying, because those people slip up, make mistakes, or maybe can whistleblow or can say that they have been doing that. But somebody who really believes it, that's your best weapon.
Yeah.
That's your best, because, and you can even tell that, like when Joe Rogan said something about him, we asked him, what's the curvature of the earth? And Neil deGrasse says, what do you mean, the gravity drop? And he's like, no, what's the curvature? Because the thing is that's not something that would ever be discussed with an astrophysicist. That's way past, that's way below their pay grade.
He didn't even know the 8 inches per mile square
No, had
thing.
no idea.
He had no idea.
Didn't even know what he was talking about.
No, he didn't.
But that's because, again, like I said, he's not looking into the shape of the earth. All that he believes is based off of the
it's already done. He doesn't need to look into it.
No, that means everything he's ever learned is wrong. So you can't even. I just see how it's amazingly done by the dirtbags who have done it. But it also, as amazing as it is, it's kind of easy, because if you're in control of books, then it really takes like one generation of putting textbooks out there, and that's it, because those children become your teachers, and those teachers become your professors, and so it just continues.
Not only that, and they reconfirm. What is it? It's it's reconfirmation. What's the word I'm looking for? When you go home from school and on TV you see everyone talking about and around the globe today and or NASA did this today. So it's just further just pushing it down inside of your little fibers of your being, and you can't escape it. As
the weird thing is,
it's not easy to. But.
The most frightening thing for the powers that be had to always be if this starts getting out, because they would recognize that they can't really shut it down. That their job was to shut it down before it ever started coming out, which they did a pretty good job of.
It's the one major conspiracy that this is what got me so excited about it. It's the one major conspiracy that we actually have a chance of having solid proof that it's true.
Right, and that it's a positive conspiracy, like a positive change could take place because of it, at least in my mind.
I think it brings it back to us, like the people against the elite, or people against the control. Not so much a person or people, but like us as everybody on this earth. It brings everybody back to the same level,
right?
And we're all on the same plane. There's nothing. It's not like me against the Christians or me against the In
a perfect
it's not
world.
a Democrat, Republican, red, blue.
No.
It's none of that stuff. They're not. They couldn't divide us with. Although I guess we are divided right now between globe and flat. But if it came out, we're one group. I think you're right.
I wouldn't want anybody to go to jail, for instance. Like, it's not like I'm out to get people and put them in jail, make them pay for what they've done. In a perfect world situation, the truth comes out and nobody goes to jail, but we just all change the way we're operating, the way that we are doing things, and then recognize now as a human race that we can be lied to very easily when you've got people in control and people in power who want to keep that power.
Yeah.
And it's going to always happen. It's going to happen throughout all of human history. It's happened throughout all of human history and will continue on no matter what. You will always
unless
have.
you learn to recognize it, then I don't think
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But there will always be people in power who want to, keep that power.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
That would be huge for us as a people, just as taking pride in ourselves and understanding a little more of who we are and where we come from. I mean, they know, like Max Egan says, they know, somebody knows.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are keeping us down. We keeping us down. I guess that sounds kind of corny, but
no.
They're the ones controlling us. Somebody knows the truth, and we want to know.
Yeah.
But, one thing I've been thinking is like Red or Flat Earth Math or any of those big ballers. They have a golden opportunity to be set up as like an absolute hero. I mean, they could make the biggest splash. Just think about this. What if Reds tomorrow decided, you know what? I do believe the Earth is flat, and came out and became a flat Earther and switched sides.
Jesus.
You know how freaking huge that would be?
You're probably right. I mean, the thing is, though, I think
because of what we just talked about 5 minutes ago,
it makes it impossible.
Because they've already stated
right.
I'm right about this, and this is why it's right. For them to go back, but on the same hand, or on the other hand, the power in that is huge, but maybe that's why they don't.
And plus, I mean, if you look at it from a flat earther's point of view, where how quickly we would embrace that. In fact, I've heard from every flat earther that despite what people think about Eric Dubay or what they think about Matthew Powerland, that we all feel like the second that they just came back and said like, hey guys, like we would all just be like, hey, welcome back. You know, like we're not out to demonize people and to, you know, shame them or anything. I mean, I think that if Red came out, the flat earth community obviously would embrace that.
Because
absolutely.
Here's the thing about you too, babe. You know, people get upset when you go on Red's channel or whatever. But here's the thing, like you what Red doesn't understand even is that you are telling everybody about this for him too. Like you're trying to get him to realize, like, look, you're being lied to, dude. You're trying to help even the people that are against you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
Oh, okay, hold on. Sorry.
Okay.
My dog got caught up in a cord. I think that I don't think I can change their mind at this point because of that exact reason. That I think somebody like Red is now that they cannot objectively look at this anymore. They're going to be, you know, it's going to be all about proving what they already have said is true. Whereas I'm not like that, and I know you can't do anything other than just admit to yourself that you're not like that. And do things in that manner, meaning if I find out I'm wrong about something, I'm going to make a video and say, hey, here, I'm wrong about this. Mm-hmm. Don't go anywhere, guys. You'll be right back with more Jeranism Monday Night Raw.
Well, it comes with cost, a price too large, as if we're really just born to die. I'd rather let have been born. Stay in school, they said. Use your tools, they said. But being on.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio, founder of Truth Frequency Radio and host of Beyond the Veil. The mainstream media and establishment are running scared right now, and they've prominently featured TruthFrequencyRadio.com as number 89 on the federal government's hit list, also known as the fake news list, which is essentially a list of sites slated for censorship on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and other social media. Now is the time for you to get involved. Share your favorite TFR shows far and wide on forums and social media. Tell your friends and family about your favorite shows. If you're a business owner, get in touch with us to feature your product or service right here on TFR. And if you haven't done so already, become a TFR supporter now and get unlimited commercial-free downloads in high quality. Visit truthfrequencyradio.com/sign-up. Thank you for making TFR the leader in independent and uncensored talk radio. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Once in a decade, a true story comes along that remembers the future. After 6 Amazon bestsellers, I have completed the epic Birth Trilogy, a true story of Earth. By reading the Birth Trilogy, you will journey with the characters from the origin of Earth to its final destiny in a white-knuckle ride that combines the intrigue of Tom Clancy with the epic scope of Prometheus and Interstellar. You will learn more about the purpose of life, the mystery of death, and the true nature of your soul than you thought possible. The Birth Trilogy is now available on Amazon and Kindle. The audio version is a free bonus when you buy the paperback, so even if you're not a great reader, don't worry about it. I read it for you. Use the Amazon app today and buy the Birth Trilogy, spelled B-E-A-R-T-H, or search for my name. I'm Brooks Agnew.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
Welcome back, everybody listening in to the show. Jeran stepped out for a second, so you get to have me and Brandon together now.
Hello.
Brandon, I wanted to ask you a question about when you were in the Middle East. You said that that there was something that made you realize it was very clear that something was not right, or that it wasn't what we were being told back here in the States. Are you able to tell us what that was that you saw?
Yeah, well, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my unit was over there. We had a mission to train Iraqi National Guardsmen and Iraqi police. So we'd take them to the firing range and show them how to shoot and stuff. And half of them were militiamen, and they were, just unreliable people. And then we'd ship them off, and they'd go and do whatever. And they were pretty much on the front lines, poor guys.
Wow.
But I just noticed that all we were doing was driving around, pointing our guns at children and women and stopping cars. And I didn't really see any progress being made. There was no power stations that had been built. There was still sewage running down the streets. There was trash everywhere.
Yeah.
That life didn't seem to be getting any better for them. There was bombs going off all the time. It just didn't seem like we were making any difference. But what really bothered me when I got back was there's this guy named Colonel Steele. And they sent him down in the 80s to, I think it was El Salvador, anywhere, South America or Latin America, to fight the kind of revolutionary wars down there. And he was a counterinsurgent. So he would go down there, train people. What I found out what was going on was we were over there training those guys, and Colonel Steele and his buddies were there at the same time building this counterinsurgency force that would basically go out and, kill their political enemies, bring them back and torture them and all kinds of nasty crap. So that was kind of the final straw for me when I realized, holy crap, that this is total bullshit that I was involved in.
Wow. I'm surprised that more military people don't recognize that, because it seems like, there's so many, I don't know what the percentage of enlisted men are at least in America, but you'd think that more people would see that, don't you think? Or no, or is it not that obvious in every faction or whatever?
Well, I think there are quite a large population of people that do, but military service is something that most people are very proud of. So, They wear their uniform with pride, and their family's proud of them, and you hear all the propaganda and whatnot on television, and the Star-Spangled Banners and the flyovers at the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. So It's kind of a cool thing to be a soldier.
That's true.
And again, if you get into it as a career, it actually can take really good care of you and provide a house for you and provide money for you and provide,
for your
flights
family.
are like $11 to fly anywhere. And
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to it. And I did love being a soldier. I thought I was doing something that was going to be like good for the world, good for the country. I thought it was kind of a humanitarian thing. I was really naive when I joined. I joined in 2003, so right after the Iraq War started.
Oh, wow.
And I was like all gung-ho, like listening to that Metallica song, Don't Tread on Me, with George Bush talking in the background after 9/11, that kind of guy, just like,
wow.
I really took it to heart. It was kind of heartbreaking to find out about it, but I look back at how naive I was. I was so just stupid, so uninformed.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but I was just so uninformed, so uneducated, so naive, so brainwashed, and that's when they get them. That's when they get you.
Yeah.
And now I look at it as it's the rich people and the politicians, not necessarily rich people, but for the most part, rich politicians, those in power, the powers that be, that send us poor kids over there to fight their stupid wars, and half the time we don't even know why we're there.
Right. That's so true. Wow. That's an interesting. No, wait. When did you hear about or start looking into like 9/11? Because you said you were, or have you, or do you? Obviously.
Oh yeah. No. I think 9/11 definitely something crazy going on. I haven't figured out exactly what.
No, I don't think anybody can really. But I was just wondering when it was that you recognized that was not what you thought.
So first about 2005, 2006, I started looking into it. And then when those spate of movies came out around 2007, 8, I really started looking into it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I made my mind up until I got really into the truth community, maybe within the last 2 or 3 years, and saw the fantastic work that has been done just recently, within the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good research going on. I mean, I personally don't think we'll ever know exactly how things went down because they wanted that covered up. So, But I think you can have really good theories about it. And obviously we're not being told the truth. So that's a very clear.
Yeah, that's one thing. People wouldn't fight with each other over it because you don't know. So, if somebody thinks it was space weapons and somebody else thinks it was nukes, then we both can agree that it clearly wasn't what we were told.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't 19 guys with box cutters and magical passport that flew out of a burning building.
Right.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Well, is there anything else, babe, I thought you were going to ask him something. You told me you wanted to ask him. Or is that
Well, no, he said he had something he wanted to ask us.
Yeah, I wanted to pass an idea by you. I like your thread the needle idea. I really do. My only concern about that is the laser. Because there's still wiggle room there for people to say, the laser bends, the atmosphere bends the laser, and they can still introduce doubt there. So I'm kind of leaning towards it has to be something physical. Yeah. And what I was thinking would be really simple is, let's say 2 miles, you set up one concrete barrier, say 6 feet tall, two of them 2 miles apart, right? 6 feet concrete barrier. In the middle, you place another 6-foot concrete barrier with a 1-inch hole drilled into it, pointing at both of the opposite ones. So 1 mile in the middle, there's another concrete barrier with a 1-inch hole. And then it doesn't have to be a big rope. I know it's going to be hard to find material that you can stretch out over 2 miles. That'll be the challenge. But if you can go from that one post, and if you can get that altitude really correct on all 3 of them, and you can thread through that hole, and it doesn't bend, because it would have to bend 32 or 16 inches, right? You'd see a big V in it.
You would. You should, anyways.
This is just something we discussed.
If it was a globe, basically.
Yeah, if it was a globe, yeah.
We just discussed this today because I was kind of running that over, running that by my wife. Mm-hmm. And, one thing that we thought is if we could somehow it would have to be a pipe or a trough or something. And we were saying 2 miles at first, but I actually think it could be done over a mile. But if we did get some sort of fishing line that is naturally or neutrally buoyant so that it floats on the water. And then I was thinking that, fill this, let's say we have a 4-inch clear PVC pipe, and you fill that halfway with water and you run that down the length of the mile. And then inside that tube, you also have this fishing line that's just basically floating on the top of the water. And then you have at the ends a winch or something to pull it as taut as possible. You'd have to get that really expensive fishing line that's, like 100-pound line. But then if you tightened it all the way, what you would see is either the line is going to be taut right on top of the water, or the line is going to have to go through the water. Mm-hmm. And that, to me...
middle point, basically?
Yeah, basically at the middle, it would have to run deep under the water.
So it's kind of the same idea as the cement, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I think is better about it is rather than have to worry about the slack, if you put it in water and it floats on the water, then you don't have to worry about the slack.
Oh, that's an interesting idea, yeah. I don't think you have to get the line that taut, though. I don't think you have to put that much pressure on it to get it to go straight, because you're going to see a 16-inch or whatever. If you do it on 1 mile, you're going to see that 4 inches. It's going to be obvious if that thing is not parallel.
Interesting.
Right, because kind of same thing with my pipe idea, that it's not going to be like it's barely under the water. It would have to be all the way at the bottom.
It would have to be almost like you had a weight.
Oh, yeah.
It would look like
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, that's a good idea, too, yeah.
I like the cement idea because that's almost cheap, way cheaper.
Well, the hard part about that is getting pipe that goes a mile or 2 miles. That's not going to be
And
cheap.
either one, you're finding something.
His would be cheaper.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you could leave it there too, so you could put maybe some altitude markers on each one to show where it is, and you could say, yeah, here, come and look. This is proof of the flat Earth. This is why. Take little school children on a tour and show it to them.
Yeah, I love that idea. Whatever it is, it should be a monument after
Absolutely, absolutely. And I did have one more thing I wanted to tell you about before you guys before I drop off. Sure. There's this picture. When I was first getting into flat Earth, my son found a picture on the side of the road and he hung it on his wall like a year ago. It's called. We scavenge off the side of the road.
I was just gonna say, wait, he took a picture or he just grabbed a picture?
No, it was like a poster-sized thing, and he hung it on as well as a Salvador Dali. It's named Geopoliticus Child. Have you ever heard of this thing?
No.
Are you showing me, or am I looking somewhere? Or
no, I don't know how to share. I'm afraid I'll screw it up. But let me just look it up. It's very interesting. Let me read you the description real quick, and then I'll leave you guys unless you have something else for me.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, it's called Geopoliticus Child. 1943 oil on canvas painting by Salvador Dali. So it's during World War II. In this painting, Dali gives us a large egg-shaped globe of the world out of which a man is struggling to hatch. This new man is coming out of North America, the United States. There's blood running out of the crack in the egg, and the new man's hand has England firmly in its grasp. In the foreground, two figures are watching, one an adult and another a small child. The adult of indeterminate sex is drawing the child's attention by pointing at the new man being birthed. The child is standing as if afraid, both hiding behind and holding onto the adult's knees. Now, in this picture, it looks like it's in Antarctica. That's one thing I noticed, because there's ice-melted hills in the background. And there's also a megalith. What are those called? The Washington Monument?
The obelisk?
An obelisk in it, too. So it's like full of occult imagery. There's a veil over the egg.
Oh, yeah, I see it right now. Wow, that is crazy. Look at that. Whoa.
So I was getting into flat Earth, and I saw that on his wall, and I was like, holy shit, you got to take that down. I mean, like, that is
too much
freaking me out. Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway.
What is that, babe? Wow. Is that the devil in the background? The little red? There's like a red dude. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know. Or maybe like a...
It's like a witch.
Looks like a witch and another.
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife.
Wow, that's crazy. Look at that. That's a crazy painting.
Yeah, that's weird.
Did you make him take it down, or did you let him leave it?
Yeah, no, I made him take it down. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I gave him another poster, so he's all right.
Oh, there we go. All right, good. Yeah, that is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I think the canopy is weird too. The canopy that's above the Earth has like a star canopy.
Yeah, creepy, man.
Oh,
Look at that.
Notice that. That's weird.
And there's like a water droplet coming off the end of Africa, and almost looks like water. Would fall off of that egg. It wouldn't stick to the center or whatever. It'd be pulled to the center. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like a
cool.
And what's going on here? I don't know. He's kicking out this.
That's him trying to break free of the egg.
I picture Ace Ventura coming out of the rhino.
Yeah.
You never seen that?
Coming out of the butthole of the world. Yeah.
Probably one of the funniest scenes of all time.
So
hilarious.
Must have air.
But anyway, I thought you'd enjoy that. Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, we appreciate your support. And
totally.
Yeah, any other questions you have? You have the whole, you still got another 20 minutes if you want it. Do you have any questions? We can even open the phone lines. I do believe they are open.
Maybe someone
see if anybody's got a question for you.
Yeah, sure. I'll hang around. Yeah.
Cool.
Sure. Oh, we do have one. Let's go right there. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where you from?
All righty.
I thought we did.
Oh, he's
just
gone.
Hung up.
Okay.
You still there, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
We lost the
So phone lines are open. Give us a call if you want to ask a question of any of us three, or even the dog. You can ask the dog question too. So any of us four.
Right now he's making a mess here.
That phone number is at 213-233-3998. Again, that's 213-233-3998. I think I say that number wrong every time.
Every time. I don't even know what the number is because you say it so different every time.
There's a lot of 2s and 3s and 8s.
I just know like 39 truths. That's all.
Just keep mashing the keyboard around the 2 or 3 area until you get
You'll get through eventually. So if anybody's got questions, some you can ask Bren. So you've kind of now run the gamut of the conspiracies, you think?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's ones out there I haven't heard, but I can't imagine there's too many.
There's a lot. I mean, it's all there's a conspiracy against you in almost every faction of your life, in your medical, in your schooling, in your food, in your stores, in your
So how did they convince
everything.
people that like that's a crazy thing to think that people conspire when everything that's done, every price you pay, the clothes you buy, the house you live in,
That's the
everything is
only
a
way.
conspiracy.
Yeah, everything
the
is.
way it
That's why they say it's crazy to think it's a conspiracy because everything is one. You know.
Yeah, my son gives me a lot of shit about, researching conspiracies and whatnot. I was talking to him today, and I'm like, well, look at the CIA. You've got an organization of how many tens of thousands of people. You think they all work in that building down there? They're all around the country. They're undercover. They're doing all kinds of stuff. That right there is a conspiracy that you can see in broad daylight. Of course there's conspiracies.
Right.
Right. There's so many. We do have some calls here. Let's go to the first one. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from?
Jeff from Cleveland.
What's up, Jeff?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey.
All right. Sweet.
That's me. Yeah. How you doing? Look, we all know the Earth is flat, and it's a conspiracy to try to hide it, obviously. But the thing that I've been wanting to look at, and I have been looking at lately, is not the South Pole, supposedly Antarctica, but the North Pole. And that's really been interesting to me. And I just was listening to the Admiral Byrd and his diary there, and I was wondering if you guys had any, anything to say about that.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on it, but I do think something is definitely going on at the North Pole. I think, in my opinion, that there's more there than we've been told.
Of course.
I don't know if that means there's more land or what, exactly what it is. But
I'm
again,
not sure about Admiral Byrd's diary because I don't know if that's the original or not.
Yeah, that's what's tough because I think it came out after he died by his nephew or something.
Yeah.
But again, it could be again.
Well, it shows a picture of that paper it's supposed to have been written on or something. But
oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a video on that, but I also saw a video of airplane routes, and nothing goes over the North Pole. They all go around it. And then
that's
I
really
saw
weird.
that one video.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that there's.
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, Brandon. I kind of like the idea that there's a magnetic mountain there that would keep everything in line. The sun and the moon. That kind of makes sense. But I agree. There's definitely something going on there. And is it just me, or did the continents seem to get closer together as the years have gone on?
Oh boy, yeah, I think a lot has changed with how the continents are placed. Totally.
Could be.
Yep.
It's a lot of. Well, I mean, when you talk about conspiracies, how come they never answer what we're saying? Just, something completely unrelated to it to try to make it sound stupid or something. It just don't make any sense.
No, it's like
attack it.
Address the the actual content, not just saying, oh, it's a conspiracy.
You're questioning things. Unbelievable.
I guess everything is a conspiracy.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's not what they taught us in school.
Right, exactly. My teacher wouldn't lie to me.
Well, congratulations, guys. At least I know that there's still some of us left that have our own brains and our own mind. And
everyone does. They just don't know that they have their own minds and brains.
Yeah. Well.
Can we think one more question?
Sure.
Jeran, you're an experienced photographer, video and all that. I live right here on the lake, and I'm wanting to take a picture or a video of the sun setting, like over Toledo at the end of Lake Erie, and be like over Buffalo or, other side, going across the lake there. I was wondering what I would need to do. I'm trying to get a camera now, and then I was just wondering if you had any advice.
Well,
I wouldn't get the P900, but that's just personally me.
I think the P900 is getting better. I'm learning it. I'm learning how to use it.
I like my Sony.
Yeah, I will admit we had a Sony CyberShot DS DSV 200V.
HX200V, yeah.
And it is cheaper than the P900, better camera. But I'll tell you why the P900 is better, simply because it's got the automatic time-lapse, the star trails, the night time-lapse.
Is it good for sunsets?
Yeah, it's got a time-lapse. We just haven't done much with ours as far as sunsets. But, yeah, most cameras don't have that automatic setting. This one, you just go to the function, hit it, and you would just set it up and leave it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do think you can find comparable cameras for cheaper.
Yeah.
It's got a great zoom, but you're not going to be looking to zoom to take sunset, sunrise.
And the settings are kind of complicated. I don't like it. I like the Sony because it's very simple, and you can have it on manual or on automatic, and you can actually like control what's going on. It's like a PC as opposed to Mac. You know, you can kind of control everything in your. I'm sorry, not PC. Your Windows 7 PC. Is that what I'm talking about? Yeah, you can control everything.
So Nikon is like for stars, and something else would be terrestrial kind of shooting.
I think you can find, if you're talking about doing sunsets and sunrises, to me, I would say there's a better cameras than the P900. But that's just me.
I'm trying to get a distance, over the lake, trying to get a building or some sort at the end of the lake or somewhere. I would get the P900. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, P900 then for distance.
Yeah, P900. It's got the best zoom. I think it lacks a little bit in like picture quality versus some other. But again, if you're looking for distance zooms and you're looking for things like that,
right?
And with the ease of use as far as the star trails, I mean, you can just set up your camera and click star trails, and it takes a 150-minute time lapse of star trails.
Ooh, I don't like the star trail one though.
I don't like star trails either.
Well, because
but I
I
like the
think
night
they're fake.
time lapse.
I don't think they do it.
Yeah, they certainly don't look like we've been doing that, watching them, and every night when you do the star time lapse. I'm sorry, just the night time lapse, you kind of see them
go straight
across the sky. And then as soon as we put star trails, it wraps them like they're going in a circle.
Yeah,
but they're not.
It's weird.
Because we can see them when they do it the other way. They're not doing it. So anyway, but I think the P900 is your best bet. I think you can find it for under $500. And, it's a quality camera. It's going to last you a long time if you take care of it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for the show.
Sounds great. Thanks for calling.
Good night.
Got another caller. Let's go over there. I believe they're from the UK. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from?
From nowhere.
Is that me, man?
That's you.
That's you.
Is Paul here?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah. Finally. Yeah. So it's me from earlier. Now I'm not one. I'm unsure where to start here because it's so big. It's such a big topic. So there's a few things I wanted to mention, but I wanted to just stick to one thing practical, and that is, how do you manage, given the period of time you've been dealing with this, to maintain a polite outward public demeanor when faced with such frustration with the repetitive, inane questions that reflexes almost, and there's only so many times you can answer and disprove the Aristophanes argument without, losing your temper. How do you deal with that?
Well, thank you for looking at that and seeing that.
You lose your temper once in a while, but that's not even temper. It's more of like you get passionate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say temper.
And I would say I owe a lot to Missa too. She's helped me anytime I start saying kind of rude things towards globe believers. She reminds me, you believed in the globe, we believed in a globe, that we have to kind of see their side, that it is tough because we were all taught something that we all believed was the truth. And so I kind of have that little empathy in me that recognizes that that it's not them, cool. It's the way we were all taught. Now, granted, there's frustration there when you're saying the same thing over and over again. But also, a while back, I stopped looking at my comments because there was so much hate and vitriol there that it would just upset me. So, once I gave that up, then I saw other people answering those questions for me, which is great. Everybody who's ever done that, thank you so much. So by just kind of not involving myself as much as people might think that I'm involved, it helps me to not have to see the same thing all the time over and over again. I kind of wait till somebody wants to interview me. I make my videos. I talk to people on Telegram when I can, talk to people on Skype when I can. But for the most part, I just don't want to, engulf myself in the sea of nonsense that's kind of going on. So thank you to everyone who does take those troll fights for me.
And also, I think what you have that is very, not you have, but I think a lot of people, most people who are flat earthers, I would say, other than most of the Christian ones, I would say, people have come to these conclusions on their own, and they can explain themselves no matter what questions asked to them. Like you have come to this point by yourself in terms of what you're talking about because based on your research. So you could talk about it a million times in one day if you had to, and without getting frustrated because you can explain yourself from your own brain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world.
Because I know for me, when I was a Christian, I couldn't explain myself, so I'd get frustrated and turn around and run away.
Yeah. Having your own beliefs and they're based on your own actual beliefs, your own research, it makes it so much easier to convey to other people.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I got to say as well, the other thing that I mentioned earlier on Skype or by email, I think you both will have got it, but the Pizzagate analysis, that was incredible. That was probably one of the most powerful pieces of YouTube video I have ever seen. I mean, I've seen a lot of cognitive dissonance around this topic, but to see someone break down to that level, to then open up in that way and reveal what he revealed was pretty astounding.
Are you talking about Brian Callen?
Yes, yeah.
That video.
That is it's kind of a scary place given what we know that these people are capable of to hide it, and in particular.
Hey, don't go anywhere, everyone. Everyone freeze. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
More Korea talks? Supreme Court questioning. I'm Jan Johnson. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo travels to North Korea this week, but there are no answers from the White House about U.S. intel reports that Kim Jong-un is reluctant to scrap his nuclear weapons. At the Pentagon, correspondent Barbara Starr.
The imagery that they have, the intelligence they have, the electronic intercepts is indicating that Kim plans for now to try and deceive the U.S., to try and hide away his missiles, his warheads. And this is what he's done for years.
President Trump says he's spoken with 4 prospects for the coming vacancy on the Supreme Court. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says abortion views are not part of the conversation.
The president is pro-life, but in terms of the process of selecting a Supreme Court nominee, as the president said last week, he's not going to discuss specific cases with those nominees.
In Cleveland, federal authorities say they've headed off what could have been a terror attack on this week's parade and fireworks. Correspondent Karen Kafa says authorities believe the suspect was inspired by Al-Qaeda.
Officials say Demetrius Nathaniel Pitts told an undercover agent that he was planning to carry out a large-scale attack in downtown Cleveland on the 4th of July. Officials say the details are chilling.
He discussed giving remote control cars packed with explosives and shrapnel to the children of our military uniform members.
Pitts was charged in federal court with attempting to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization.
In Thailand, now that 12 boys and their soccer coach have been found alive after 9 days inside some flooded caves, correspondent Mark Phillips says they have to get them out safely.
If the water doesn't succeed, then they have to teach the boys how to scuba dive, which could take a bit of a while to get them out of the cave.
Rescuers have been able to carry supplies and medical help to the boys. I'm Jan Johnson.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Again, I appreciate you guys joining us tonight, and also wanted to thank Brandon for joining us. We had a great time talking with you, and also thanks, number one, for your service. I don't think that goes, it should go without saying. I really appreciate that. Everybody does. And number two, for your support as well. So, and if anybody out there would like to help me do more of what I love and less of what I hate, as Brandon has done, head over to patreon.com/Jeranism, and for the price of a $5 footlong, you can become a patron. Oops, we have to put. Mrs. was doing sounds. Go ahead. There you go.
I was like,
Shh, 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 shh. We have an hour left.
$5 is cheap for a footlong.
That's cheap, real cheap. Yeah, they're worth more than that.
They don't do $5 footlongs anymore, though.
No, they don't. No, they don't do $5 anything really anymore, except for patreon.com/Jeranism.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Hey, before we went to break, we were talking with Paul. Let's get him back on the phone here.
Yeah.
Paul, go ahead and continue with what you were saying.
Oh yeah, no, it was the Brian Cullen analysis, and I've seen a lot of this reaction to the topic generally as a cognitive dissonance and the neurochemistry that goes along with this, and the symptoms are uniform across the board. But to see someone break down in that fashion and disclose what they disclose, obviously they're high. I mean, it comes across as way too much cocaine before the show. I mean, that's just my opinion, and I could be wrong, but that's just how it appears.
Yeah.
To then break down and then admit what he did, and I think Joe Rogan kind of draws it out of him by doing a good job of making him feel comfortable about what he discloses. But that blew my mind, and I can't see where Brian Cullen can come back from that.
No. Yeah, and I think that.
I mean, what are your views now in retrospect?
Well,
no, I think it was but he's still doing his thing. He's still now we have noticed just in the last 6 months where he's kind of started to
not go into that anymore.
Right, and he also says things like the media is controlled.
When he used to say
he used to say you have to read the Washington Post, everything it says is real. And recently I've heard him say that we know that the newspapers have been taken over. He also was saying something about alternative realities. Remember, he was saying.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, he's got like some open-minded stuff that he was saying, but I think it's clear that he was, his dad was part of the Trilateral Commission or the
I forget what it's
can't
called.
think of the name now.
I think a big reason why
Council on Foreign Relations.
Yes, Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
But I think a huge part of the reason why we were able to like break down what was happening when Pizzagate came up was because we had dug so deep into the Hampstead case,
right.
And we had seen all of that, like everything that goes with that way of being raised, and everything that you were told,
and then to even find out what happened to Ella as far as her being singled out by Dearman and the family, to be the mother of the children who would be later sexually abused. But just to get that all into perspective, it was like it just opened your eyes up to the fact that it's not, because it doesn't make a lot of sense if you talk to people about pedophilia in a way like, this person grew up to become a pedophile, because it really doesn't happen that way. It mostly happens due to trauma in your upbringing. Right. And therefore, when you learn how this is a systematic, inborn and in-family, hereditary, then you start to see how this can take place. That you've got people that are being born into families to where this is normal behavior, and they don't see it as being weird. And even if they found out later that it is weird, they've already got those desires. It's already in them. It's too late.
Yep. So I think that's big.
Yeah. So it was big for us. I mean, I think
if we won the lottery, I would spend that money going and trying to find all these children, because that's where like my heart is to find. I just want all these kids.
This is one of the things that I mentioned in the email. I may as well just throw it out there now. I came across, just in my professional work, day-to-day work, I came across this project by a project called MEMEX. And MEMEX, it's been a long-going academic research project funded, funnily enough, by NASA, JPL, and DARPA. And among other things in there, and it's all delivered by PhDs from University of Southern California. It's all public domain. The information's out there. The source code's there. You can run it on a machine. It's some awesome stuff in there. But fundamentally, there is a technology there that's been developed in collaboration with JPL. You can look it up. I'll send you a link, actually, via Skype. Please feel free to distribute it. And under the guise of helping to prevent human trafficking, there has been a collaboration to develop AI-driven technology which will, at web scale, identify vulnerable individuals. And given the fact it's co-funded by JPL, the bigger concern here is, well, wait a minute. This same technology that could be used to help prevent human trafficking could be used to scale up massively,
right?
Very accurately. Quite the opposite. Its application it has two sides to the to that sword, and the more I look at it, and the more I look at some of their previous work, I'll send you all this. It's fascinating. They seem to have been working towards the development of the following. One, dark web arms trafficking. Well, that doesn't make sense to me, because in the US, you could buy weapons on the market. It's free. So it's almost as if they're preparing for some kind of lockdown there and assuming there will be trading arms on the dark web. The other thing was the technology they've developed there in this, and it's available, and you can Google it under MEMEX GitHub, which will bring up the GitHub repository with all the source code. They're looking for polar researchers. And you got to ask the question why. What has NASA got to gain by developing technologies to identify polar researchers? Sure, you just ring up the universities, you know who they are because they all collaborate. That doesn't make sense. But the most concerning thing was this the sex trafficking prevention technologies, which really you can be used for foul play equally well.
Yeah.
Given the connection, then I found I'm looking at University of Southern California and the connection with Jack Parsons.
Well,
historically.
I'm looking at this right now, and I had no idea that Vannevar Bush is involved with Memex because it's just
really?
More
He
things.
is the evil
Vannevar
one.
Bush, in my opinion, is the orchestrator of the space hoax. That him and Claude Shannon encoded the idea of space into a mathematical checksum error checking system to where space exists in the computer. So they can send satellites out in the computer. They can discover satellites 1 million miles from Earth in the computer. And then it sends back data, which comes back into the computer and then outputs, and people think it came from space, but it came from the space in the box in the computer.
Right.
And on that same thing, I came across a Google talk where they have an esteemed expert in to speak to Googlers. They video it, put it out on the internet, and they've got this guy from NASA scientist. He may as well be from the Aviation Authority. There's no connection to space. You can almost see the disappointment in the Googlers' eyes who have come to see the talk, but there's nothing to do with space. And he almost, it comes across as if he senses that, and he's a little bit embarrassed about it. But one of the things he does as part of his day-to-day work is and he explains the reasons why, is quite legitimately, but he's creating synthetic data. And given the compartmentalization issues, I mean, he could be creating synthetic data that he believes is being used to train machine learning models over here, but really it's been fed over here to give these guys something that they can work on, so their life has meaning. But this whole thing's unraveling at such a rate.
Yeah. It really is.
They have to accelerate operations. Whatever it is, the goal is, there's no way they can work on the current timeline, because unless they ban the internet, which we can't rule that out. I mean, the EU currently out. That's another story, but completely. But the EU now are talking about making memes illegal, and the decision will be made by an AI. And just today, I was speaking with a professor of AI who'd been approached by the. I'm not going to mention any names, and this is pretty one for offline. But he'd been approached by the Ministry of Defence to create a fake news detector, and we had a conversation about this, and we came to the conclusion that it's unethical. The decision as to whether or not a piece of news is fake or not is down to the individual.
Yes.
And it opens a can of worms. It's impossible as well, because how do you determine what's true and what's false, especially if what is accepted to be true is based upon something that's faulty that maybe just happened to be embedded, say, 20 generations ago.
Right.
Right.
You're going to come up with the answers that appear to be true, but based on the absurdity of the foundations.
Yeah. If you ask the world if votes go over the curve, 97% of the world's going to say that they do. Doesn't make it a fact. It just means that's what they were all taught. And so any kind of a checking computer system would see anything that said otherwise and think it was a lie. And so that's the problem. You can't.
Exactly. Yeah. Even peer review systems are entirely corruptible.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've worked for 20 years in the search engine optimization industry, which is based on and PageRank's basically a peer review model for websites, for web links, and the analog here is that if PageRank's corruptible, then so is any peer review system. Yeah, so it's kind of a stalemate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then it comes back down to faith again. And scientists, they're not big on faith.
No.
That's why they could never see that it might be a possibility that the science is faith-based.
Yeah, I almost think it's more than that. It's a hate for the idea of God and the hate for religion. Once you've found that to be a lie and you've kind of felt jaded by it, you move over to science, and you've already made this decision that science is all good, religion is all bad, and then you have to fight that position. You don't want anything to come into your life that's going to make you rethink that.
Yeah. I mean, there are obviously some exceptions. Rupert Sheldrake's, even though he comes at it from a globe perspective, because he wouldn't be there long.
Right.
You can see him challenging the dogmas, and we are dogmatic. It's natural for us. Everyone has a dogma, and this is one of the other things that's blown my mind in the last few years. Again with AI, when I watched, and you may want to look this one up, I think it was Move 37 Game 2, where Lee Sedol's playing the AlphaGo by DeepMind. The AI made a move that's considered unheard of. It won the game, but it made a move that's dogmatically prohibited. It's not something that's done. It changed the style of play. And that was one example. Then another example was an AI, a poker playing AI called Liberatus from Carnegie Mellon. And this is based on this algorithm that's, I won't go into details, it's quite deep, but it's called CFR, Counterfactual Regret Minimization. And this algorithm is able to compute Nash equilibria estimations. So it's basically able to play poker, Texas Hold'em, heads up, so no limit, 2 players, and it beat all the pros. Now, it learned to be able to bluff, and that's really the ultimate goal, and that can be applied anywhere. And again, similarly to the Go situation, it demonstrated a human weakness, a human flaw in each of the players, in which they're all handicapped by dogma. Its playing style was and I won't misquote it, but several professionals who I've got quotes from have stated that the particular style of play is considered weak, except this beat every one of the pros. So we've got 2 examples of AI systems which are independently demonstrating we're dogmatic.
I just have a quick question about those AI computers. How do we know there's not a human controlling the decisions?
Well, they would have to control
this is a good one. I mean, this could be like the Mechanical Turk, back in the day, where they had the Grandmaster with no legs hidden in the box.
Right.
But in this instance, you can actually get the source code from the papers, but you can get the code and reproduce it on your own machine. You may need a GPUs, and it may take a while to train, but you can reproduce this stuff. The repositories are there, and this is one of the things I like about computer science, is that it's reproducible.
Right. It's not they're not theoretical.
It gets pulled apart. Yeah, exactly. It gets pulled apart. It gets pulled apart by academics. It's beautiful to watch. But so it is, and there's a whole movement towards reproducible science, where tools are being created to make it possible to track the data from through all stages of the process, right through to the final endpoint, and that kind of paper trail is what makes computer science more robust, unlike cosmology or any other things based on theoretical science.
The reason I mention that is I just think it's very interesting. But I would love to see the odds on the move that the computer made in the game you were talking about, because it shouldn't make moves that are unconventional unless there is a higher % chance for success at that moment, right?
So specific. Yeah, I hear it. So specifically in the case of Go, because Go is different to poker. Poker's what they call a imperfect information game, because there's hidden information. You don't know what cards.
Right, it's the luck of the draw.
What cards you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we know what's on the flop. We know what's on the table. We know what the pool cards are, but we don't know what you have.
Right.
And then things like the time it takes for me to make a bet, the size of my bet, whether or not I check, whether or not I call.
Right.
They're all indicators, all tells that the algorithm picks up on. And I saw the professor talking about this in 2016, and it was fascinating. But in 2017, the previous year, it won with statistical significance. which is kind of academic talk for we did pretty good. But in 2017, when they reran it with some improvements, and the guy, I think his name's Gnome something or other, I'm not sure, I'll send you the link. It beat everyone. It beat all the pros, and took away the prize money. And all the pros would I mean, this went on for days. There were many games played, and it won far beyond statistical significance. It beat them all hands down, and is now unbeatable. It's solved. The game of chess, the game of poker, Texas Hold'em, No Limit, which has got the biggest game tree size of any poker variant, is now solved in much the way that chess is solved by AI, and Go was solved earlier in the year. So the distinction between the two things, we've got the imperfect information game, we've got perfect information games where both parties know what's on the board, and we can both see who's got the upper hand, and we can remember what the moves were that led to this. But that's not important, because what's all that's important is where we are now. Now, what was particularly interesting in both of these instances was the way that they both developed a playing style that's consistent with weak play, and is considered as such by professionals in both of the games, in both Go and poker. In poker, it was playing what was called limping in, was really low bet. It was completely unpredictable, but it was learning. It was able to learn when the other player was bluffing. Now the thing is, it's all of these games, whether it's Go or poker, the fundamental underlying principle that enables all of them is the Nash equilibria. If you've seen the film A Beautiful Mind, about the Princeton professor who's said to have been schizophrenic, do you remember the film?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that guy, John Nash, he won the Nobel Prize for Nash equilibria, and now Nash equilibria plays such a big part in AI at the moment that it's led me down to the conclusion that, and I can't rule it out, and I just wanted to throw this one past you and maybe some of the other people in the chat room, and the possibility that perhaps this imminent singularity that people speak of, perhaps, what if it were to be recursive?
What does recursive mean?
It's just a thought. It repeats itself. It's for instance, let's just say it's not the first. I mean, for example, using the allegory of the Matrix, they speak of it not being the first Matrix. And interestingly, in the cartoon series, the city that they build to populate the AI, and to populate with the AI, is the city's named One. It's given the name of One. Now, computers start from the index of 0. So the number 1 kind of infers it's the second of 2. I don't know whether that's just pure coincidence or some kind of hint. But when you look at some of the stuff that Graham Hancock's digging up, and just the existence of certain technologies and around the possible applications of the pyramids, for instance, and suppressed energy generation technologies, for instance.
Well, we got a bunch more calls. I'm gonna let you go.
I'll let you go, but
because I got more calls.
I could go on all night.
I know.
So could we? And
Very interesting.
I think it was a very
what you're
interesting
talking about.
topic. And I mean, I'm for one, the way he was describing that, I actually think that possibly wasn't the computer player, just because it's kind of leaving.
What do you mean
people,
wasn't the computer player? It's a move that it made?
Yeah, like there's a human that was controlling it and kind of making decisions for it. Just because otherwise,
if it was on TV, or if it was like a nationally
if it beat,
maybe possibly.
For instance, you can't beat somebody and hold them every time because of skill, because there's something called luck. So the computer should have lost. Just because.
Eventually, you mean?
just because of luck. I mean, basically, you can play the odds, meaning that let's say you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 of clubs in your hand, and the flop comes and there's nothing there. But on the last card, the river, that you can use an ace or a 6 of clubs to give you the straight. But that won't always come. There's just the odds. You're just playing the odds. So if you bet on that one and you lose, then because the card doesn't turn as you think it would, so there isn't. It isn't a game like chess in my mind, where chess is kind of like very systematic.
It's like one move. It's almost like you can break it down mathematically. Like if somebody does this move, then you could do this one.
And you can do the same thing in poker, except for it's just your percent odds. Do you have pot odds? Meaning it's good to bet into a pot when the odds say you might win because a card might come that's going to help you, but it won't always come. And you could have an 80% chance, 90% chance of getting a club, but just doesn't come.
I think that if it's true that computer was winning every time, then it's not far from possible that it was the software programmer, the person who programmed that, who created the software, created it to where it's not random. It's like whatever the human being like draws, then the computer would get better cards. Like you can program something to not be random.
Yeah, I don't think it's not supposed to be random. The computer is
you
supposed
shuffle
to,
cards and it's supposed to be you don't know what's going on.
But then when you have the deal out, the basically the way that the person is playing, the computer should observe that and make decisions based on that. But to say it's just pulling something out and doing some crazy move that everyone considers to be a bad move and then to win is kind of like weird. You could get away with that once.
That's what I'm saying. Is it's like
you can get away with that once.
It's like programmed to do. It's like programmed to win every time. Like almost like you go to the casino. You're really the people who win at like slots. It's like 1 in a million.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from? Oops.
What's up, man?
Hold on 1 second. We're going to be right back, and make sure you turn off your radio.
All right.
Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Poker and Checkers.
This is Elizabeth McCabe, aka Lucky One of Truth Frequency News. I wanted to tell you all about Extendivite from HeartDrop.com. Y'all know I check everything before I air it. When I heard about Extendivite on TFR, I went to HeartDrop.com and started my research. It's got cayenne. That's good for blood and circulation. It stimulates the blood flow. It's got garlic, which fights bacteria like antibiotics, and it lowers the cholesterol and blood pressure. It also has milk thistle, which is the best detox for liver. I couldn't wait to try it out, and I'm glad I did 4 months ago, and here's obvious results. My hands and feet don't get cold anymore. The varicose veins have faded too. My wrists don't hurt after typing all day. Now I tell you all this because it's true and I want you to really live life. Try Extendivite. Go to HeartDrop.com and order it.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit HeartDrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Tired of writing checks every month for your timeshare? Checks big enough to buy a car with instead of to a timeshare you can't even use when you want? Need a way to get out of that contract that they hoodwinked you into signing? Then contact Resort Release. Take it from me, Matt Ray. When you're ready to leave the timeshare nightmare behind, these are the guys you need. Resort Release has the know-how to permanently and legally terminate your timeshare contract. Call 888-255-3611 and find out why they've been able to help tens of thousands of people like you legally end their timeshare disaster. Resort Release gives a 100% guarantee that you legally and permanently walk away. If you don't get out of the contract, you don't pay a dime. Period. And they have a Better Business Bureau rating of A+. Call Resort Release now, 888-255-3611, 888-255-3611. That's 888-255-3611, or go to resortrelease.com.
For millennia, mankind has been searching for answers to the big questions, such as, where did the universe come from? Where did we come from? Why are we here? Are we alone? And just what the heck is the Sasquatch all about? I can't promise you answers and neither can the Woo Crew, but they invite you to join them Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight in the UK, for Freaky Friday, exclusively on Truth Frequency Radio. Spirituality, multiverse, quantum mechanics, the occult, and so much conspiracy analysis that it will make your mind melt. Take my word for it. Freaky Friday. It's more than a show. It's a way of life. I am Stephen Hawking, and I am proud to be a Wookiee.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR, your protection from deception.
Welcome back to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. We appreciate you joining us for this final half hour.
For 30 minutes.
30 minutes if you don't like to refer to hours in their halves and quarters. Where computers are becoming...
In our house we do. Get it? In our house.
In ours house?
In our house we do.
Well, I was going to say, people can enjoy computers becoming conscious while many people are deep or sleepwalking through their life. They've completely given up the use of their brains and their thought processes and deferred those to smarter and greater men, and now just believe as they're told. But I think I could beat the computer. I was thinking about it.
Do you really? I don't know. The pros, babe. The pros.
I say bring it on. I don't know.
I think it's a very interesting subject. I also think that you need to. I need to take that away from you.
No, that's creepy. This is computers are coming for you. They're gonna beat you at chess and things and other games.
I think it's very interesting. It's very appealing. The idea of AI. But we all have to remember this one fact. One of these two. So we got a robot and a human. One of these two made the other.
Right. Guess what, computer?
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
Yep.
Sorry, let's get back to the phones.
Yep.
Take it away from me. Go ahead, try. You take it from my cold dead
Did you take
hands.
which phone call did you take? You
I
didn't
think
do one yet.
We're going to
The one we were just talking to before the break.
This one?
For a second.
You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this right from?
Hi there.
Hello.
Is that me?
That's you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Very punctual caller.
I'm from the unfortunately I'm from the globe.
That's okay, Globe. We love
Earth.
everyone. We love everyone.
Okay. Here, I want to get down to some basic things. I talked to you a couple years ago. I talked to you about a year ago, and these are the things that I said back then. I think about, or maybe it was about a year ago. I had talked to you about getting on a gravitron at the county fair. Had you ever done that?
I have.
Where you get into the thing and it spins you around.
Right.
Yes.
Did you ever do that?
Oh, yes.
I've been in one.
But I did it. They had the affair.
No, I mean, but this last time, just so you could experience it now and relate to us how it was.
Oh. No,
well, I remember how it was.
As far as the feeling of gravity.
I don't think it,
well,
there's
you
a. I don't think
stick to
there's
the
a
outside of the
fair
wall.
Yeah, you
you're
stick
on
to the
Gravitron.
outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
What
I've
is that?
listened to you a lot about your deal with gravity and not having really not believing in it or something like that. And
no, I simply say that.
Anyway, I just wondered if you had ever done that since I had called you. And anyway, it would be nice.
But I do remember you.
It would be nice to have you related. If you had to, I asked you to take your camera with you and do a first-hand report on it so we can all experience it with you and see what your thoughts were on it at that time.
Okay.
Anyway, and I've also watched some of your videos and talking about that your whole system gets blown away if you went to the South Pole and the sun went around. And about, again, it was 2 years ago, I asked, well, why don't you do that? Go down, it costs about $1,000 to get a flight down to the tip of Chile. And you could at least watch the sun at some point there.
Yeah, but I've seen the sunset from the south of Chile, and I guess my and I think I've said this before, that unless they let me go wherever I wanted to down in Antarctica, they're going to put me where there's a base where all 20 or 30 or 40 people that are living there all are going to be at that base, right? So I mean,
you can't freely explore. And
right, I can't freely explore, and I don't want to go major conspiratorial and say they could fake the sun. But I am going to say that when you're looking at the globe model and you look at the fact that the sun circles the southern continent for nearly 6 months,
right,
and has sun beating down on it when the sun is closer to the Earth during the southern summer, then there is no reason why there would be a completely unmelted, massive ice.
At least go and wait.
Okay. So, actually, let me just get down to a few things, because that's not really accurate what you just said, because the Earth, in the globe model, the Earth is actually in an ellipse around the sun. So at different points, the Earth is actually further away. At some times during the history of the Earth, it would be closer to the sun during the southern summer, but also at times in history, it would be further away from the sun during the southern summer. Just depends upon where you are in this Earth ellipse.
What is it now?
I just want to, rather than just getting to this abstract stuff, I really don't know because I haven't looked it up right now. But rather than this abstract stuff, I would like to ask you, because things that you can actually see in your real physical world right there. You were talking about your camera and taking pictures of the stars and their travel.
Mm-hmm.
So have you actually, I haven't seen any videos of you that you put up of you doing that or anything. So in the globe model, you're on the northern hemisphere. So if you pointed your camera at the horizon northward, you should be able to get the most curve of the stars if there is a globe, if you are actually on a globe. So have you done that actually, get the compass out and point it directly north?
Yeah, I mean, our yard is better served to shoot the south, so we do a lot of south observations. That's where the planets are. That's where the moon and sun are. So we don't do a lot looking north.
But then again, on the globe model, if you point it south, then you're going to see stars not in a good circle. You would just be seeing them mostly overhead. I mean, they would be going,
correct. Well,
one
I know
side to the other. You wouldn't get this. So, but I mean, you could take a weekend off or whatever, drive up to the desert or something where there is no lighting, where you're in total darkness. I've done that, and I've seen, it's a totally different world when you're in a total darkness and looking up at the sky, rather than being in the even a little bit of light around.
And you still,
but if you go there and then just point the camera.
When you see that, you still feel like you're looking at stars 25 trillion miles away.
And you're spinning.
I mean, that's what you feel like when you look at the canopy of the sky is right there. It's right on top of you.
And I'm not asking about feelings, but I'm asking, that's what I would like to see you do, is go somewhere where it's totally dark and get the compass out, point it towards, at the horizon, straight north, and then give us a time lapse and see what you see, time lapsed, and put it online.
Have you done that before?
We can actually see what you see.
I was just wondering, have you done any of these things before?
I'm just wondering. I'm not in the. No, I've seen stars travel, but I'm not in the idea that there's a conspiracy. So I buy into it that it's happening. But if you do it, I'll trust you that you actually do what you're doing also.
Yeah.
So if you come back with something different, I'd be going, wow, what's going on here? But I think you're honest enough that you actually point the camera north at the horizon and videotape it for an hour or something like that, and just to see what the track of the stars look like.
Here's the thing about
the
me.
Other thing is,
let me just explain to you. I just want to explain to you what I'm like so that you understand that when something is as pushed as the star trails, Polaris being, then I automatically default to knowing that is the case. Meaning,
Yeah.
I know that the stars circle the North Pole.
Because that's what we
That's what we've been taught. That's what we've been told. It's just like Wolfie, who flew all the way to Honolulu to film the sun setting at 270 degrees west and said that that's proof of the globe. It's like, no, why did you even waste your time? I could have told you that the sun will set at 270 west in Hawaii. I mean, they've told you that for 500 years. Why would you think that you're going to go there and prove that it doesn't happen? So I don't believe that anything like that is.
And I'm not just saying.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want you to know why I don't go take star trails.
This is just one point. Because you believe it's going to be the case. But you okay, and here's what I believe is that you won't really. I think you have to see it with your own eyes to really get it into your head. Even if you see a video of it, of something happening. Like I've seen your South Pole thing, and you're talking about, oh look, you can see it's been edited, right?
Which
so I think no matter what video you see of the South, but I think no matter what video somebody else puts up of the South Pole, you won't believe it until you actually do it yourself. And you say, now you know there's no way unless some space alien came down and zapped your mind and put you into hypnosis.
I do agree with
that's
you
a
to a
good
certain
point.
extent.
You have a point there. That's a point.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. So this is my thought processes over to the past. Like I say, I've listened to you on and off over the past 2 years and been on hold a few times here and when you've not gotten to the phone calls and all. But this is my thinking. You have to do it systematically and get everything down. So if it was me and I was wanting to prove this one way or the other, like right now it's the summertime. So if you went to Barrow, Alaska, it doesn't take I don't know if you have a passport or not, but you don't need a passport to go to Barrow. But if you
Daryl Marble
two places on Earth where
Daryl Marble just came from there, and he called me from there, showed me his videos. Clearly, the sun does a 360-degree turn.
Did you do the stars though?
Oh, I thought he was going to talk about the sun.
Oh.
But anyway, yes.
Right now you wouldn't have stars right now because it's the summer.
Right. He showed the sun.
In Barrow.
Oh, got you.
Correct. He showed the sun going around, staying above the horizon, or just about it. Actually skirted the horizon for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But no, and I've never had a problem with the northern 24-hour sun.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, for less than $1,000, you could go up there. I mean, just so you can experience it firsthand. So you have it within your own body. The experience that.
Yeah, that's
this
true.
is what it looks like.
I wish we could.
That's true, but I mean, that's not going to change my mind about the globe because I already believe that happens. So going there to see it is not going to make me say, now I think I live on a globe, because I already do believe that happens.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, gotcha.
No, I understand. But again, it's just so you can get it within yourself and you know that even this other guy, I mean, I have no idea how far it goes with the conspiracy stuff, all right? Anyway, I was just going to say the other place that you go would even be better. But again, you need a passport and it costs a little bit, maybe it costs $2,000 to get there, is off the island off the north of Norway, and it's actually Norway's island. So it shouldn't be any problem.
Oh, yeah. Svalbard, yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, some Barg something. I don't remember. That's even closer to the on the globe, or on the flat axis also closer to the center, and on the globe where it's.
Remember, we called there. I found a random hotel and called the hotel there and said, "Hey, I'm coming in for my friend's wedding on such and such date, and I have an argument with my friend. Will I be able to see the 24-hour sun at that time?" She goes, "Oh yes. By then it's clearly the 24-hour sun."
Yeah,
so
it
just
cool.
felt good to call.
You know what? I appreciate this phone call because it's very. It makes me feel very not feel, but it helps me know that even someone who still believes in the globe, they trust you, and I think that's really cool because. We, if we see something, we'll tell everybody what we saw exactly, how things go exactly, or whatever. I think is really makes me feel good knowing that people recognize that.
I trust you, but I think you have to be there and actually do it, and rather than speculate a lot.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so now closer to home that you can do something at home is, I understand you don't believe in satellites, but I don't know exactly what you think. Like when somebody has Dish Network and they're watching TV, what you think that their dish is pointed at.
Ground based.
It's pointed at a
balloon?
reflection. Reflection point either off the troposphere that then DirecTV is sending their beam up and having it propagate. Or it could be a balloon. I mean, I don't think it is one.
Okay. So, and if you go around your place, you will notice that every dish is pointed towards the south. And when I was younger, like 40 years ago, I when you had the big dishes and all, I bought a satellite dish, and I actually have to aim it at a certain spot to get the different dishes. And there's a thing called what is it? Polar axis, a polar mount on a dish where it's like a triangle shape, and you point to start out with. You point your dish straight west, and then you angle it up until you can get the signal from the satellite. That's or the satellite that's closest to the west. Okay.
Can I ask you something real quick, if you don't mind? I just have a question because I don't. So, do you think it's possible? Let me just ask you this: do you think it's possible that you can be fooled about things like that? So, for instance, maybe somebody knows that by pointing all the dishes in the same general direction, that because of whatever you want to call it, perspective, whatever, that there's a way that you could be fooled into thinking that all those dishes are pointing at a satellite when really they don't need to be. That they could be pointed at a point in the sky to where somebody from the ground is sending a beam up and it's kind of propagating that way. I'm just wondering if you think that that's even a possibility that you could be fooled on something like that, or you think that because they tell you satellites are up there and because people's dishes on their house are pointed in that direction, that is the only thing possible.
Not because somebody would tell me that. No, because I know the industry, and I know there would have to be a massive conspiracy with every television station that has these big dishes that when they want to transmit up or receive signals, they know where to point it at. And,
usually they send it across. Usually they send it across. They don't send it up. Yeah. Usually you have one, final hub, like DirecTV may pull everything into their location, and then they send it up to the satellite. But everyone else. So you're telling me that TNT sends their footage to the satellites? And the USA channel and HBO, they're sending their footage to the satellites. That's how.
You don't know that?
I'm asking.
Yeah, there are places. There are base. Yeah. There are base state. Okay, you're asking what I believe. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't put this big industry out there if it was not reality. That's my belief, right? I mean, if I saw something that I could not explain, then I would be going, wow, this is weird. But the explanation is there. It all fits.
Because
there is nothing that I would say.
They need to make jobs. That's what people don't get. You need jobs. You need people to stay employed. And so you have all these secondary systems that are in place that wouldn't need to be there. They wouldn't think about it. Why would we have systems like that? It just doesn't make any sense. Cables have been run to everybody's house.
Or this could be reality.
It's either if the government has our best interests in mind or they don't.
So even though terrestrial land-based GPS is said in reports, I'll show you the report, 1/50th of the price that satellite navigation is, it's more accurate. It can keep track of your altitude, not just where you would be located on a 2D plane. Like, GPS doesn't keep track of how high a plane is. It doesn't even know how close you are to the ground or how close you are to the satellite. It's completely done through speed of light. I mean, you believe in the speed of light? You think that...
Be nice.
I am being nice, but I'm just saying, when you really look at it, you have to... The whole idea of frame dragging and the time, the time changes or length contraction, all these things that go into there. And there's reports now coming out that people that are into GPS and writing the code say, no, there is. It's a time factor that's added in after the fact. That none of these things are running the way that we've been taught, and there's a reason why. It's because they've perpetrated this hoax.
Well, I know that there are people that actually manufacture GPS chips that actually do the actual calculations, and there are different manufacturers of different GPS chips that are inside your cell phone, inside of all the, anything that has GPS in it. There's a GPS chip that does a little calculation. When back in 95, I went to Japan. This is like I had a GPS tracker and went to Japan, could track myself around there.
Yeah, but GPS is not... Yeah, the thing's not open source, though. It's not like you can go and find out the exact code for GPS. It's blocked.
Sure. No, it isn't. No, you can go find it out.
Where?
There's
do I find
manufacturers that make it.
Yeah, but they're getting a code that's
Why don't you
basically
look up
not
GPS.
open source. Okay.
Okay.
There's
Here's
two
what
different
happens.
GPS, but go ahead.
When they first started out, the GPS, it was a military thing, and the code that the military sent out, they're in control of the GPS system. So when they first, because they didn't want accuracy for the civilians, they didn't want people to be that accurate. They put an error code. They transmitted an error on the system, so you couldn't track it very accurately. So you wouldn't be able to do your map system. All right. Now, a few years ago, I forget how many years ago, they shut that off and they just let it be accurate.
Oh, did they?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I figure.
What did they like
You wanna
announce
go
that they stopped doing the error, or did they just say that they stopped doing the error and it kept going? Maybe it's still going.
Go Google it. I don't remember when it was.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, if they still were doing it, you wouldn't be able to drive down the street and let your GPS take you wherever. Anyway.
Well, no, that's interesting though, because
I'd like to
sometimes
get
I'll
back-
drive around Merced, and there's a few spots where I'll drive to, like, I picked up some things from Craigslist people selling stuff, and it'll think that I'm on a totally different street. It'll tell me get back on, proceed to the route, like in two very specific spots. Like one is in Atwater, and like it just kind of gets confused, like in these weird like pockets. It like doesn't know where I am, and it does
Okay.
interesting.
And it's probably, and you probably have some buildings or some mountains around where it couldn't pick up the satellites correctly or something. I don't know.
Right, because all the satellite dishes.
And again,
are
the
pointed-
more accurate thing that you're talking about is off the cell towers. Okay. Now, back in the day, they didn't have cell towers, but as progress went on, more and more cell towers went up. So and I don't really know how that works. I haven't looked into it recently, but they're being able to be more accurate because they're getting it off a bunch of cell towers close in.
Can you remember a time, though, that a satellite dish or a satellite was put up in space and then the next day you had something you didn't have the day before? Because guess what? Nobody can. Nobody has a report of saying, on this day I had nothing. The next day, since they put up a satellite, I got these channels. Or now my cell phone worked. Everything worked before. And if you go look up the Satellite Communications Act of 1962, that they had a problem. It was not going through the Senate because AT&T was reporting that this is just a modern representation of the current underground sea cables that we have already. So when they say something like that, they're saying this is a modern representation.
Okay, so here's
they didn't need satellites.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Yeah.
It was and then when they complained, they got brought.
Yeah, they're
into
trying
that.
they're trying to explain this technical thing to some politicians. Okay, and so what they're saying, and I haven't looked into it, but just hearing that, what it sounds to me like they're saying is the modern representation is you can put a cable, and at that time they were using copper cable underwater, which is an expensive thing. Running all that cable, it's expensive, and it doesn't, and the data that they can put through the cable is not as large as they could put a satellite up there, and you don't have to run cable. You just bounce a signal, or you transmit a signal up to the
pretty sure
satellite.
fiber optics is quicker.
Yeah, fiber optics is like
Because if you're
yeah,
talking-
now they have it, but back at that time they didn't have fiber optics. They didn't have cable like that back then. Fiber optics is very new.
Okay, and then AT&T.
Comparatively speaking, when
all
they
those
first put
cables.
over.
I understand the history of it. So I said I understand the
Right.
history of it. Go
So
ahead.
things become more expensive. Things become more expensive or less expensive as time goes on, as technology improves. So the fiber optics became less expensive,
Okay.
and also there's a delay when transmitting up to the satellite. Like when
Correct.
Like when making a long distance phone call, it's a delay, and you would have delays when talking on the phone. It would be like you wouldn't quite sync your conversation with the person over in the UK or Asia or wherever you're talking to, going through a satellite.
Right.
And you could tell the difference when you were making a call over a cable as compared to over a satellite.
Okay.
I mean, you could back then.
Right.
Okay. So. Right. So anyway.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and to me, there hasn't been the kind of evidence for satellites that I think there should be. Again, a lot of people have problems with me saying that, but I don't have a problem saying that because I'm allowed to look at what I'm presented with and say, there's evidence of this or not. I've never heard of meteors. We had a meteor shower or a shooting star. Something takes out some satellite dish or anything. There's nothing like that's ever happened. Nobody's worried about it. And then you're supposed to believe that these things can't even work on Earth for a period of time without breaking down. Yet we're supposed to believe that they have these satellites that are just in orbit up there that are just going, never have a problem. They just unfold their little wings and. Well, of course. Okay, when I say that, I don't. Okay, well they can't.
They deorbit them and they put replacements. And actually, they have replacement satellites up there sitting, not doing anything. And when some other satellite goes out, they will move that one out of position and bring the one that's a replacement into that position to take over.
So,
you can Google the stuff. I don't have the details of what day all this stuff happens on, but you can look it up.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand why you wouldn't see that. If you find that, it's not proof that it's happening. Of course, if they're going to write something on a website that says, oh yeah, we did this.
If I want to believe, the whole world is a big conspiracy, maybe so. But I don't see the world as a.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want.
I mean, there are even amateurs.
Why would I
like
want to
amateur radio people?
Right.
Well.
Do you know what map they use when they figure out which direction to send their radio signals? They use the AE map, the azimuthal equidistant polar projection map, because that's the way that they get the exact directions of where they should point their radio. But again, you'll hear that and just push it aside because you believe in the globe. The globe's the only thing that can be true. GPS can only work on a globe. So, I mean, we're both in the same boats here, except for I am...
Azimuth and elevation. And so, no, but that works on the globe. So I don't know why you would think that is somehow that's a flat Earth thing.
Well, why would they use
azimuth and elevation, right?
That's what the radio uses.
They have to point it at to go to a satellite you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about
so you have
radio waves pointing to each other, like terrestrial radio waves. Shows
a microwave cell tower.
Sorry.
Very interesting.
I can't believe it either.
Call next week.
Well, answer the phone calls earlier.
Okay, well, next week.
Okay, we will.
All right. Thanks.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem.